wait. What is this shit?
Not safe for f***ing worker placement podcast.
I flipped the board. I despise that game. Oh, that sounds like... Oh, wait. Hello and welcome to the 26th episode of the Not Safe for Worker Placement podcast, a board game podcast brought to you by me, Leandra.
And me, Ben.
We're married and we're here to talk shit about board games.
That's right, babe. That's what we do.
Yep,
We're here to do what it is that we do. Episode 26. It's been a while. It's been over a month since we recorded. Yeah.
Ooh.
And the interesting thing about this is we're going to turn around and in less than 10 days record a whole nother episode. So this episode is going to be real heavy on games played because we played a lot of games in the meantime.
We have.
And then our next episode will be our annual Halloween episode in which we're going to get some contributors from around the board game world. And Leandra will, again, like last year, not be here, but for a different reason.
Yes.
Why is that? You're going to talk about an IRL, but give us a little preview of that.
I'm going to Salem for Halloween.
Salem, Massachusetts?
Massachusetts.
Sweet. So you're going to Halloween it up and do all things hocus pocus.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. 9 days. I leave for St. Louis to go to Salem in 9 days.
Okay. So that's why you won't be here for our next episode. But we're going to record a couple of things prior.
Let's backtrack just a second.
What'd I do?
You said our annual Halloween episode.
It's our second annual
Halloween episode. Love that. Annual. We have an annual Halloween episode.
That's right.
How fun is that?
That's pretty fun. Last year was really fun. Lily and I made a long skit for the intro, and we'll probably do something like that again. And we have our contributors. Steve from Secret Cabal is going to be back. Jamie Stegmeyer is coming back. And we have some commitments from several other people, but who knows what will come in and what won't. You know, it's a time crunch thing. But hopefully we'll have some cool contributors from around the board game community, and we'll talk about all things spooky.
Yeah, this house kind of digs Halloween. We're a Halloween family.
We sure are.
Yeah, currently we have a Nightmare Before Christmas tree in our living room.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. It's a Halloween tree. It's a Halloween Christmas tree, and there's eyeballs and spiders and skeletons and Jack the Pumpkin King and jack-o'-lanterns, and it's pretty freaking cool.
I like it. That was a great idea you had. So
Pinterest,
like where all your great ideas come from. All right, so let's do what we always do before we start talking about what we've been playing. Let's do the plugs. So if you're interested in seeing anything else of ours besides the podcast, like pictures, you can go to Instagram and check out NSFWP Podcast Instagram. Follow us on there. Or we are at Twitter at NSFWP Podcast and at Meeple of Madness if you want to get a hold of me directly. And Leandra is at Leandra_30. Then also you can check out our website for all the archived episodes. That is nsfwppodcast.com. Also, we are on Stitcher and iTunes and Google Play Music and YouTube. Our episodes are up there. So any way you want to go about getting the episode, you should be able to. I would ask everyone to maybe give us a subscribe on the website. If you're already listening to us every week, it just helps us get downloads right away. And lets me know our numbers and stuff. All right, all that's out of the way now. Plugs are done. Let's get to the meat of the show, babe.
Okay.
And the meat of the show is, as always, is
what we've been playing recently.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, no, we're not in a spooky mood yet.
Not yet.
Damn, I'm so ready to be spooky.
I know, me too.
All right, so fire off with our first game that we started playing. We picked this up in Texas while we were there for my high school reunion almost a month ago. And that game is...
Scarabya?
Pretty close. I really don't know. I think it's Scarabya.
Scarabya?
Scarabya is a game designed by my favorite duo that we talk about, seems like almost every episode, Bruno Cathala and Ludwig Maublanc, who have done so many different designs together. Anything Bruno Cathala, I'm willing to give a try. I'm almost never disappointed by his designs. And Scarabya is his take on this new craze of polyomino games. So there's a whole bunch of them out now. They started pretty much with Patchwork. Uwe Rosenberg made Patchwork, and then that kind of spawned him to make several other games with that type of mechanism, like Cottage Garden and Indian Summer, which are all sequels to Patchwork. And then he also put that same design into A Feast for Odin, which was a big, giant, heavy Euro game with that mechanism in it. And Leandra's shaking her head for some reason.
I'm
I don't
having
understand why.
really bad deja vu right now. Like about literally reviewing this game already. Like it's crazy in my head. Like I already felt like I've already reviewed this game, and I talked about the Beatles and the whole 9 yards. Like I'm having massive deja vu.
Well, how did it turn out? Better than this, maybe?
Probably. I think you had.
Did you interrupt the thing to have deja vu in the first one?
But of course you told me I was doing it wrong, and then you had to revise everything how I was explaining the game. So that's gonna make sense.
Well, no,
that's
that won't.
normal.
Actually, your deja vu is completely wrong because we took some audio. Okay, let me go back to where I was. Good Lord.
Is that what it is? Is we did audio? Is that how?
Yeah, we already did review this game.
That's why I'm so confused.
Because I was going to drop in some audio of that we recorded right after we played with Lily, and I'm still going to. But that's why you're not having deja vu. You're having what's called a memory, babe.
Oh, wow, that was weird.
Usually you can't pull those up, but it's called a memory.
Shit,
that you're having.
I thought I was having deja vu.
Good God. Okay, so polyomino games. Okay, Uwe Rosenberg pioneered the idea, sort of the Tetris idea of games. And you just looked in distress over there. I had to say something.
It was really, I was like, wow, I really feel like I've already reviewed this game.
I'm having a memory. Oh, God, this could be a long episode. So anyway, and then people have followed up with like Number 9 and Barren Park, and it's kind of a thing now. These kind of games are having their moment. Well, this is Bruno Cathala's idea to get into that arena. This one's a little different. Usually they're about placing them in order to get bonuses and stuff, like or your patchwork to fill up your entire area. Scarabya takes the idea of placing down your Tetris-style pieces in order to surround things on the board, which I think has happened in some of the Uwe Rosenberg games, but for the most part, it's interesting. And one thing I will say, it's the lightest of all I've played. I mean, it's lighter even than Patchwork. And I thought that might be a problem, but we got Lily to play it, which is a feat for most games.
It is.
She's usually not interested in playing a game unless it's Dixit. And if we talk her into trying games, she has a very, very short patience window for learning. And so it has to be pretty simple. Even if the strategy's in depth, that's fine. But she does not going to sit around. She's kind of like her mother. She doesn't want to sit around for a long rules explanation.
It's a true story.
So we played it, and we're going to play a little audio right now. I like to call it deja audio of our impressions right after Lily played it for the first couple of times. So let's do that. So I'm here with Leandra and Lily. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
All right, and we just played a new game by my two favorite designer collaborators, Bruno Cathala and Ludwig Malblanc. They both designed my favorite game, Cyclades, together, and they've done several other games. This one is their newest one from Blue Orange Games. Lily, how do you say the name of this game?
I say it's Saba Baby.
How about Scarabya? I don't know if that's right either.
Saba Baby.
Saba Baby. All right. So, how do you play Saba Baby?
So you have this board. It's like a perimeter of a square, and then you take these blocks of things, and they have little holes in them.
The tiles?
Yeah, tiles, and you put them inside there. And if you're the captain, you get to pick which way you get to place them in.
The master archaeologist, aren't you? Aren't you? You were the master archaeologist, weren't you?
Yeah, I was under the sea.
That's right.
And
then you put your little rocks in the holes, right?
Yeah, you take your little rocks and you put them in the holes, and you try to make you have beetles, and you try to surround them, and you can't have more than 4 blank spots. And then you can have those points. Say if I have a beetle with 3 blank spots in it, well, 2 blank spots, that will be 3 points because I have a beetle and
Oh no! If you had 2 blank spots, it would be 2 points. If you had 3 blank spots with 1 beetle, it would be 1 times 3, right?
But you said that the beetle it counts as a spot.
It does.
Yeah. So she said 2 blank spots.
Oh, 2 blank spots. Yes,
beetle.
You're absolutely right. You're right. I was wrong. Yeah, you're right. I was wrong.
And you take these little weird shapes. It's like an L, like a.
They're called polyominoes. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
They're Tetris pieces, huh?
You did not tell me that.
Tetris pieces.
Yeah.
So you have coins, and as much points as you have, you from the blank spots, that's how much points you have, and at the end, whoever has more points, they'll win.
Awesome. Perfect explanation. So what do you think about this game? Do you like it?
Yeah, we played it 2 times.
Do you like it better than Dixit?
No.
But
How were you able to use your multiplication with this game?
Well, Daddy said the way the blank spots are, I can multiply them and get my answers.
Multiply that by the number of scarabs inside of them, huh? Yeah. So
Perfect.
if you have 2 scarabs and 4 spots, then that is 2 times 4, right? So that's 8, right? So that's that's like a real life way to use your multiplication tables, right? Pretty cool, huh? So what did you think, Leandra?
I thought it was super fun. I lost both times. But the artwork is super fun, and Lily kicked my butt.
All right. So is this game you think we will play again together?
Yeah, it's a good little family game.
All right. So that's Scarabya by Blue Orange Games and Bruno Cathala and Ludwig Malblanc. Okay, we're back. There was your live listen-in on Leandra's Deja Vu. It was called that we did actually do the thing that she thought she remembered. All right. So that's our impressions after playing it. So obviously Lily likes it. She's played it a couple of times since then with us.
She doesn't like it as much as Dixit.
No, but she doesn't like anything as much as Dixit.
That's true.
So that we did, that's her Dixit scale. Pretty much anytime we get Lily to review a game, it's going to be on the Dixit scale.
It is.
So if anything ever overtakes Dixit, I would be very, very surprised.
It's something.
But so that's Scarabya. I'd say my opinion still is I like it as a start the night off type of game. Get everybody warmed up,
Sure.
because there is thinking to it, but it's also so simple. And it's one of those games that makes you kind of mad if you do poorly, that you want to play it right away again because you're like, I screwed up so bad, I want to do it again.
Yes.
So it's not easy, but it is simple. That's kind of a good thing with games.
Yes, I like it.
Okay. So that's Scarabya by Blue Orange Games, Bruno Cathala, and Ludwig Malblanc. Next on our list, babe, what do we got?
My Little Scythe.
Hey, it's another one that is a family game. We've talked about My Little Scythe before, but luckily enough, we received a review copy from Stonemeyer Games, and like the other review copies we got, we already had bought the game. So we tend to do that. But we're going to pass the savings on to you. No, actually, we're going to try to make a different kind of content. Since we had already reviewed My Little Scythe favorably, but we also talked about the fact that we couldn't get Lily to play it. She just wasn't interested at the time when we first started playing it, right? But I bribed her with the idea to make our first ever overview and review video and kind of launch our YouTube channel to have more than just audio on it. And so all you got to do is say the words YouTube, and Lily's like, huh? Ears perking up.
Yeah.
Because she's wanted to be a YouTuber ever since she was little, and there's a lot of creepers out there, so I'm like, nah, maybe not, and
she makes videos, but they just stay on our iPad.
Yeah, we just don't upload them. So this is her chance to make her YouTube debut, and so no creepers allowed on our board game channel. And we're going to make My Little Scythe video. So that being said, I got Lily to play it, but also we played it with your sister and your niece. Mm-hmm. And they seem to, when I was teaching it then, I was like, this game is a little more complex than I had remembered from playing it a month or so before, but it's really not that bad. And what did you think about playing it with 4 people? Because we had only played it with 2 before that.
I mean, I thought it was still just as fun with 4 people as it was 2 people.
But I think your notes that you took said right after the game that it was much more hectic and chaotic. And I think so, too. Do you remember it? I mean, you took that in your notes because I read your notes. But
does my notes say that?
Absolutely.
Are you sure? I think my notes say that for Western Legends. I don't think they say that for
that's true.
My Little Scythe.
That's true. Okay. That's maybe what I read in your notes. But
yeah, that's Western Legends.
That's my note on it, is that I thought as a 2-player game, My Little Scythe is a little more tactical, a little bit more strategic, because you have a bigger, wider open board, more options of where to put things. I found like in a 4-player game with people who play games, it was a more of a kind of free-for-all race, like really fast race of like, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you an apple.
Keep on giving you stuff so we can get up the friend chart.
Chart. And there was it went really fast with 4 players, and it was really like, I mean, there was a runaway leader type thing.
Yeah,
it was like,
I won.
Yeah. And which wasn't bad, because again, it's just a family-like game.
Wait, did I win?
No, I don't know who won, but I know I didn't win.
Maybe it was Kelsey.
Maybe. I think she might have. But either way, I thought that it was a lot less strategic in the 4-player game because there's so much going on and you just don't know from turn to turn what you're going to have available because there's more people doing the quests, which means they can steal some of your stuff possibly if they go the jerk route, or, they're just dumping resources on you so you don't have to work as hard to get your resources because people are trying to get their friendship up and just dumping resources on you. So anyway, we'll be talking a lot more about My Little Scythe in the future, but with that review copy that we did, we're going to do what we did with our review copy of Scythe. We're going to do a giveaway that will be in conjunction with our video release, which should be just probably in November. We'll keep you updated on that, so check our website and Facebook and Twitter and all that for updates, and you'll get your chance to win your very own copy of My Little Scythe, courtesy of Stonemeyer Games and the NSFWP podcast. All right, so that's it for My Little Scythe. I did get Lily to play it, but I'm gonna kind of keep her thoughts and stuff for the video. So
good idea.
She beat me though.
I like it.
All right. So what's up next on our list?
Tesla versus Edison
Duel. Because Tesla versus Edison is a big box game, which I have had. I have played several times. You never played it. I didn't think you would like it.
I don't even like this one.
Oh, that's a shame. But I loved the theme because. Okay, here's a little context, and you'll remember this. Tesla versus Edison, I've read about 3 different books about their rivalry, and then, one just kind of had it as a side note about that, but I think it was Devil in the White City by Eric Larson has it sort of as a side tale. But I read a Tesla autobiography or biography, and then one that was just about the war between them, and this game is exactly about that. It's called the War of the Currents. And the big box game was this sort of area control stock market game. But the stock market was very wonky in it, and I got to say that. And I was actually good at it because it was not a stock market that had anything to do about being smart about managing your money. It was just about this weird track that you could manipulate. And if you did it well, like you could dump all your stocks at the end of the game and ruin somebody's game, which I thought was weird. And you could make a bunch of money and ruin their stocks, their share. And if they had a bunch of theirs left, they would just lose. So it was kind of cool, but also it's hard to teach. It was weird. And then they came out with the same company and same designers came out with this card version of it that's only for 2 players, Tesla versus Edison Duel. So I was like, well, we love 2-player only card games. That's like Leandra's wheelhouse, right?
I like it.
So we got this one out. So what do you think about it? You tell me a little bit of what you think, and I'll tell people a little bit more about how it plays. Yeah, well,
it's really hard to like a game when you get your ass handed to you, not once but twice. So, it's hard to have a positive opinion about a game that you just got your ass kicked on.
I think, and I can usually pinpoint where a game goes wrong for you. And
when I lose?
Well, that's part of it, but you can lose a game and still like it.
I do.
But there's a less of a chance you're going to like it. But this game has a very dramatic or very explicit take that element.
It does.
And you don't like that necessarily. I don't. You can take it in some games, but when it's something about literally in this game, okay, what you're trying to do, and I'm just going to do a brief overview. You've got some cities out on the board. There's 4 cities, and they're going to all be in a certain order. It's like, you've got the East, which is New York, and then you've got somewhere Chicago, and then you've got somewhere out west. I don't remember. But you've got all these cities that go from the east to the west across the country. And then you're trying to basically play stock markets that match their symbols into them to get control over the stock. You're trying to buy stocks and put them out on your side of the board to take control of that. And you can only take a stock and put it, and you can electrify that city too by putting down an electrify thing on that city as well, an electrified card with its city name. And those are the 2 ways that you can get influence on there to control it. Well, you can only electrify a city if you have the technologies that you need, and there's 3 different technologies. And one of the actions is just take a technology. You get a certain amount of actions on your turn, 3, I think. One of the actions can just be take a technology, and it can be take a technology away from someone else.
From your opponent.
Yep. And so in order to...
Just take it. Like, it's not even a special move. It's just, hey, I'm going to be a dickwad, and I'm going to take your special technology.
Well, it's strategic in a way of that you can always just use one of your actions to take it right back. But if you need all 3 of those actions to do something, like say if I look and say, Leander is going to need 4 actions in order to take over this city of mine, that I have control over, and it's about the end of the round, that I can just use one of my actions to take the technology that she would need in order to electrify that city. Or there's also a way where you can block the city off completely, to where you have to take an action to just flip this thing, which means she would block me off from electrifying it. Now it has cool little poker chips. The little technologies and the currency blocking things are these cool poker chips with stickers on them. They look really, I think the game's presentation is awesome.
Yes, the layout is fun. The artwork was fun. Like, I liked all of it. Real world
characters, so you can be Tesla, Edison, a bunch of other people I don't know. JP Morgan might be one. I don't know. But there's
some females in there.
Yeah, there's a couple of females, and usually is in their games. But I thought, all in all, it was a great distillation of the core ideas of that game. But that game was a push and pull. It's a tug of war game, is what it is.
And you're much stronger than I am, and so you win.
But I don't know. I liked it, but I knew right away once there was that take that element where I could just the first time I did it, just to exemplify, I was just like, okay, and I'll take that. And you're like, wait a minute, you can just take that from me? Like, yeah.
Like, it's not like a special action. Like, you didn't have to have special things or special cards. You literally oh, it's my turn.
Well, you do have to have
I'm going to take your shit.
You do have to have cards because your actions are based on cards you have in your hand. So you play a card from your hand down, and if it has the symbol to take a technology, then you can just take it from anywhere on the board or anywhere at the table. So you do have to have the right card, but they're pretty plentiful in order to, you're going to be able to do that pretty much anytime you want.
2-player take-that games are not my favorite.
Okay. So Leandra wasn't crazy about it. I really liked it. Problem is, I never get to play 2-player games with anybody but you, so I don't know when I'm ever going to get to play this game.
You liked it because you won twice.
No, I liked it. I liked the mechanism. Because I always liked the theme of the other game. The game itself wasn't as good. I think this game design is really good. What do you think about the game design?
You're going to have
itself?
to find someone else to play it with.
Okay, I understand that. But let's try to take an objective look at the game. Do you think the game mechanisms are fun?
Yes, absolutely. And the layout of the cards were fun, and like I said, the artwork was fun, and like everything about it. I don't enjoy the take that 2-player games.
Well, here's the other thing you didn't like about it. It can end abruptly. So
my gosh, it's so fast.
It can end with you can play a certain number of rounds, or it can end because everybody gets to choose a character from either the AC or DC current side, and there's equal numbers like the
and you
5
have to
of
be
each.
the opposite of each other.
And you have to be the opposite. So like you randomize a first player. That first player gets to choose someone from either the AC or DC side, and then each of those characters have an automatic win criteria on there, and it can be to control 3 more cities than your opponent while being 6 points higher on the
so not only are you trying to compete, but you're also trying to complete your own little special dude's objective. And so without even me knowing, Ben's like, okay, well, I just filled it, so I'm done.
Well,
Game's over.
You do know what it is at the beginning of the game. You have to tell them what it is, but they have to remember. So that's a big part of the game, is trying to not only get control of certain things that you need, but remembering what it is that your opponent's trying to do,
you
can stop them from doing it. That's really the game right there, is that push and pull of trying to get what you want to get done, not letting them get what they want to get done. So anyway.
Which I clearly suck at.
It's Tesla versus Edison Duel. I like it. Leandra despises it. All right. So let's move on now.
Okay.
That's something you don't despise.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Ticket to Ride.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit about Ticket to Ride, because Ticket to Ride is one of those games that is a perennial board game, gateway game that everybody that starts playing board games plays, right?
Not me.
Except us.
Yeah.
We didn't do it.
No, I'm not a trained person.
No, and I'm becoming more of a train game thing, but that was one of those themes that early on did not appeal to me. And
the artwork didn't really appeal to me. Like, nothing was appealing. Like, we'd see it at Barnes & Noble all the time, and we're like,
Well, and I downloaded it when I first got an iPad back in the day when we first started playing. I downloaded it, and I was like, hey, check this game out, because it is kind of fun in the app version to just, you can knock out a game in 10 minutes. And we did a little pass and play, and you're like, nah, it's not for me. And so I was like, okay, cool, because there's a lot of these gateway games that we didn't get into, like Pandemic, and we did get into Catan. Catan was the one that we didn't avoid, and we still like Catan. But we bypassed. We skipped right from Catan and bypassed Pandemic and Ticket to Ride and some of these other well-known entry point games, even like Seven Wonders. We skipped it for a long time.
We did?
Now we're starting to come back and see, why are these games still sticking around?
Because they're fun.
Yeah, they've been around for 10 or more years, and there are some 20 plus years, and they're still selling and getting new versions. Like, why is that? Well, and so your sister bought Ticket to Ride, right?
Yes.
Latoya. And then you played it with her.
Yes.
So continue on. What do you think about Ticket to Ride?
Us and Kelsey, and Choya was like, Kelsey loves this game. It's Kelsey's favorite game. She's my niece. And so we went and I played it with Kelsey and Toya, and I loved it. Like, it was so much fun. And then you came over, and then we played it again, and it was really fun. And they have the USA version.
Yep.
So it's pretty basic. No special things or anything. It's just Ticket to Ride. And for the first time playing, it was actually worked out better because obviously I can do geography as far as our country is concerned. So I was able to find things easy on the map and that kind of thing. And so we've evolved, and then you got.
I wanted to get a version of it to just test the waters.
But you didn't want the long one.
Yeah, because the thing about it, to me, I thought that the USA the base box is it's fine.
It was fun,
but it's so repetitive. You're basically just doing the same thing all the time. It's great for teaching you the basics of Ticket to Ride rules, which aren't very hard anyway.
I think if we had started out with the harder one first, I wouldn't like it as much.
I think it's a good progression, but I wanted to do something a little different. So I thought, if we want a vanilla type Ticket to Ride, I don't want to play it for an hour. So let's get the New York version, which just came out as a Target exclusive, and it's a cool little, takes 10 to 15 minutes to play a game. Yeah. And we knocked out a whole bunch of games of that, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So it's a much smaller map. It's more cutthroat because you can cut someone off a lot easier. You don't have to keep track of your score throughout the game. You just add everything up at the end, and there's a couple little bonus things. It actually has more rules than the base base Ticket to Ride. But Leandra enjoyed that so much that I thought, hey, it's coming up on Christmas time. Let me take a look at, do some research and find what is the best version of Ticket to Ride to have. Because I want one that has a little bit more meat on its bones, right? So I looked up and I found that, there's 3 different base boxes you can buy. You can buy the regular plain old USA one, or you can buy the Europe, or you can buy there's a Germany, and they're all 3 base boxes. So if you buy them, you got all the trains and cards you need in order to get any of the expansions that you want to add in. And every expansion adds new maps and usually 1 wrinkle or 2 of different mechanisms. Well, Europe already has 3 different mechanisms on top of base Ticket to Ride. So I got that one. Then I looked up reviews. I really wanted to get Rails and Sails because that one looked cool. You're doing rails and boats and all this stuff. And I was like, that looks more involved. But all the reviews I saw said, yeah, it's really great, but it takes too long. It's like a 2.5 hour game of that. So I ended up buying the base box Europe for us
for Christmas for me.
For Christmas, which we already played and we'll talk about. And I also got what everybody said was the essential expansion, which is the UK and Pennsylvania map expansions, which both add way more game rule type things. The Pennsylvania side is pretty much base Ticket to Ride with the stations, and there's a stock element where every time you complete a route, you can then choose one of 2 or 3 stocks, and you're trying to get the most in those stocks for the end of the game.
See, that might be a bit too much.
Oh, no, that's the simplest version. That's not a big deal. The other side, though, hold up. The UK, now that's the meaty one, because it starts out where I've explained this to you like a million times, but this is the one that sounds awesome to me. You got a closer up view of Europe, so you've got England, Wales, Ireland, Scotland, France, right? I think, and whatever else is in the UK. I'm not a geography expert. As we'll talk about when we talk about Europe. We're definitely not geography experts.
No, not at all.
So this one, you start out and you can only build 1 and 2 length routes and everybody, and you can only build inside Europe. You can only build routes inside Europe. And then you have to use wild cards to buy all these bunch different, I think there's 20 different technologies that are out on the side of the board, and they take varying amounts of wild cards to buy in order to be able to build longer routes, in order to build routes from different countries to be able to get maybe complete a certain color route with less cards, get some bonus points at the end of the game for doing things, all these things that you're building up your engine. So your game is going to be different from your opponent's game because you're going to have different powers and they're going to have different powers. You're going to be battling to see which ones work better. That seems really cool to me. That seems like you take a really basic game rule set that Ticket to Ride has and added a really cool game around it. So I'm interested to try that. What do you think about that?
I liked the USA version. I'm super glad I started with that. And then we went to New York, and then we went to Europe,
What do you think about Europe? Let's start there.
Europe was fun. I really enjoyed it. We found out that, like you said, we know nothing about the geography in Europe. We're trying to read the board upside down. Like, I have no idea what's happening. So, each card you get that tells you what location you're supposed to build your train on. We're literally trying to like, oh, okay, so I'm somewhere on the north. Let's look up there because it has a point,
it's got
point
a
to point
on
and then a
your
map.
ticket.
So that's literally the only way we found where we were going.
It took us all a good 10 minutes at the beginning of the game to try to just see.
Find the spot that
and
we
then
were
the
going.
whole time I'm looking at it like, okay, let me make sure I'm heading in the right way.
Exactly.
Oh, God. And so
but that version had what was
stations,
the stations
and
added
the
in,
ferries,
and the ferries added in,
and the tunnels
added in. Yes, and so that to me was enough of an addition for a meatier game to start off with.
I liked it, but it's that those are not that big of a deal.
No, but I'm glad that we started out a little easier. So I'd like to play that one more time before we add in the extra expansion, because that sounds way complicated. Not complicated, but just more elements, which is fine and fun, but
especially it's just like adding an expansion to a game you already like Scythe or whatever. It's like you already know how to play the game, so you add a little bit of meat on top of it, and that's good. It keeps it fresh. Or viticulture, like adding something into viticulture just always kind of spices it up.
But usually you end up playing the base a few times before you.
But you've played Ticket to Ride a bunch of times now. So.
Well, I mean, New York we've played 3, and though I can count them on one hand how many times.
No,
yes,
you played it more than 5 times in one day at your sister's house. I bet.
think I've played it 6 times total.
Not true. I've played it more than that.
Okay. Anyway.
We played New York 6 times in one day.
On my lunch hour.
Yeah. We played it 3 times just on your lunch hour.
Home for lunch. Let's play Ticket to Ride.
So you cannot count from on one hand.
Anyway. So I am
Unless
looking
you got a lot
forward.
more weird fingers than I knew you
had.
hush
it. I'm looking forward to having the expansion on the Europe version.
Okay.
It'll be fun.
Awesome.
Especially seeing the UK map. That'll be way fun.
Yeah. So you are looking forward to it. Yeah.
I am.
Because originally it sounded like you weren't into
I'm a little nervous about it because it sounds like with the stocks and this and that and this and that. It's going to be
still no. I don't think it's that. It's just adding some incremental stuff into an already simple game.
You buying expansions? I'm so surprised.
I bought them for you, babe.
I know.
I bought them for you.
I know. I get board games for Christmas.
Because it's awesome. Okay, so that's Ticket to Ride. Hey, we're getting into the gateway game experience, and I'm trying to make it as not gateway gamey as I possibly can. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise.
Let's move on to a game I'm very excited about recently that I passed up on Kickstarter like I do a lot of times and then regretted it. It's a game called Petrichor. Petrichor is a word that literally means the earthy smell after the rain.
I love that smell.
So yeah, apparently there's a name for that, and that is Petrichor.
I did not know that.
This game is got the cutest artwork that you'll ever see. It's got watercolory flowers and potatoes and corn and coffee
very calming
on the tiles, right? And the whole theme is that you're playing rain clouds. Sounds fun
it's
and
like
light.
A spa day board game.
Sounds like a kid's game, right? Until you start playing it, and then it's cutthroat. And people are jumping into your cloud and getting their raindrops in there and trying to steal your points. Okay, so this is going to be an impossible game to explain on audio, but I'm just going to give you a basic idea. Your rain clouds, right? It's a hand management sort of game. You've got cards, and there are 4 different types of cards. There is frost, sun, wind, and rain. And each time you play, you have to play at least one card out of your hand and take the main action. So let's say they have a bunch of different actions, and then I'm not going to go into them all because it could take forever. But basically, you're going to try to play a card to get your cloud out with one of your raindrops. And then you're going to play a card to move clouds. And if 2 clouds come together, they combine their raindrops, and they become a thundercloud. Thunderclouds have the potential to rain. When they get 4 or more, 4 or more raindrops, any cloud becomes a thundercloud. When they get 8 or more raindrops, they're going to rain down on the tile that they're on. And the tiles are the area control portion where a certain number of raindrops need to be present in order to make that type of plant grow. And then once that plant is grown, if there are 3 dice that get rolled at the beginning of every round, those are harvest dice. If those ever all show the harvest symbol, then all of the grown tiles will then score. and that's where you'll do the person with the most presents there is going to get the top number, second present's going to, and so on and so forth.
And then there's a betting mechanism.
Yeah, it's called voting, even though it's just really another area control section. So there's a board off the side that's the scoreboard, and where you put the harvest dice, and then the rest of it's made up by a tile layout that varies from player count to player count. The voting mechanism is also the second thing you can do every time you play a card is you can either vote on the main action. So if I played a sun card, I could either vote for sun or the one next in clockwise order, which is wind. And I'll put a little voting disc that I have on there. At the end of the round, after everyone's passed, then you'll check that area majority thing out and see which two weather effects are going to happen, which can then is going to move stuff around on the board and make you get more presence in clouds, or make clouds rain, or turn every cloud into a thundercloud. It's going to do a whole bunch of different things. The top two vote getter spots will resolve, and then you'll get for winning the vote in that area, you'll get to move one of your little score things up. So there's two different score trackers. There's just a regular victory point tracker, and then there's one that keeps track of how many times you want to vote. That one gets incrementally higher in-game points the more times you win the vote. That's a big thing in the game. You want to win votes because it goes from 1 extra point for one win up to 36 extra points at the end of the game if you win 8 votes in the game or whatever. So, or 6, excuse me. No, I think you can win up to 8. Yeah, there's 6 rounds in a long game, and you could win more than 6 of them. But anyway, sounds more complicated than you would think, because it is. But it's actually, once you get the rules down, pretty slick. There's a nice little card that everyone gets, a little cheat sheet card that helps a lot, because you're going to need to be reminding yourself.
Cardboard clouds and
the clouds are 3D.
Lightning bolts. And
yeah, so it's as cute as it could possibly be, and it's a real game. That's what I was wondering about, and I can't ever get a feel on things on Kickstarter. Like, I know this looks cool, but is it going to be a good game, or would someone that would make a game with this theme maybe not have their finger on the pulse of board games and know how to make a good game? Well, I was wrong, because they did, and they just didn't want to make the same old game that everyone else was making. And they actually did make a really good game. It's got really interesting mechanics. Never really played a game like it before, and I am into it. So now there's an expansion that if I'd have got the Kickstarter, I could have had.
Wait, there's an expansion?
Oh, well, I'm not done talking about that. So there's a flower expansion that came out with Kickstarter. It's about to be available at retail, so I'll be getting that.
Of course.
And right now on Kickstarter, go back it, because you can go ahead and get a reprint, the third printing of Petrichor itself, and you can get the flower expansion, and the Kickstarter is for the new expansion called the Bumblebee expansion, which is going to add a new resource, which is honey, and there's a bumblebee that you can move around to the tiles that will then pollinate different flowers.
So are you backing
honey.
Them on Kickstarter?
Absolutely. It's $20 for the expansion. I'm definitely getting that. So I'm all in on Petrichor. It's a really cool game, and it surprised me. And very rarely anymore am I surprised by games. We're going to talk about another one here pretty soon that surprised me because of its theme and its mechanics. When that happens, I'm impressed. So what did you think about Petrichor?
I liked it. The artwork is beautiful, and I love that the little cardboard clouds and the voting. The first time I played, I didn't pay enough attention to the voting mechanism, because those point differences are huge when you get moved up. Yeah,
so we played 2-player first, and you were so far ahead of me on the regular scoring track.
Yes.
But at the end of the game, I won a bunch of more votes than you, and we ended up tying. And I won the tiebreaker.
Just because of the voting.
But just because of the voting, because you kind of just let me win a lot of them.
I did, and because I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't realize how important it was. Like, I was just focused on the board and not focused on the voting.
You were killing it on the board.
So. But then you ended up winning it. So, there is a lot to pay attention to. I mean, I don't say a lot. I mean, it's not like it's...
There is, actually. There is. There's a lot of working...
It's not like it's Scythe or anything, but it's...
No, but it's not light. There's a lot of moving parts.
There is. And that's what I took for granted the first time I played it was, I'm not going to pay attention to you just throw something over there. I don't care what it is. Hell, I think I cheated the whole time when I played the first
that's
time.
Right. You weren't even voting with based on your card. You were just voting wherever you wanted, and I didn't notice.
And it's based on your card. You only can vote on the card you put down. So either, if it's wind or rain or whatever, or the one next to it. Whatever is on the card you play, those are the two options you can vote. I didn't even do that the whole time I played, and I still lost by the voting, and I was cheating. So,
but then we played it 3-player with you, me, and Vaughn, and you won.
Yes, because I was paying attention to both field, the actual playing field and the voting field. So, what do you know when you pay attention?
I was pretty glad you won because you didn't seem overly excited when I brought that one out, but I was really wanting to play it, and I thought Vaughn would like it. And you weren't overly excited whenever I pulled it out, and I was like, well, play it anyway.
Play it anyway,
and then you won. So that was good. Maybe that might help you want to play it again.
I'm such a brat.
You are. Okay, so that's Petrichor by Ape Games, designed by, let's see, David Hickop. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. I can't read my own writing.
It was
David Herkop, excuse me.
Yeah.
And David Terzi. So I don't know what nationality they are, but everybody is named David over there.
Yep.
So go check them out on Kickstarter. Get this game. It's so cool. You won't be disappointed. I don't.
You got your butt chewed for not telling Toy about Kickstarter.
No, I've told her a million times. She just wants me to show her how to do it, which is crazy because she could just have to look at it and she would figure it out. But every time I tell her,
"What's this Kickstarter?"
Oh, that was a while back. Yeah.
She's like, "What is this?" You kept on telling her, "I got this on Kickstarter." What is this Kickstarter? How come you've never told me about Kickstarter?
That's true. That happened a while back. But yesterday we talked about it in relation to our next game we're going to talk about.
And that's what made me think of it.
Speaking of Kickstarter.
Yes.
We have gotten a hold of a prototype from Australia, the land down under. I come from a land down under.
Oh, my God.
Oh, God. I almost killed the table.
Yes, you did.
Hear my bass that I had there?
I heard it.
Minute work just took me over. All right. So more things come from Australia than just kangaroos and Foster's beer. Kebabs big in Australia? I don't think so.
Oh, wait,
I don't know anything about Australia. I got to tell you that. I would like to go to Australia, but all I know is stereotypes. So, I got
what
Vegemite,
are those cookies we got?
Nutella, and Tim Tams.
Tim Tams.
I didn't know about Tim Tams until the guy who sent us this prototype sent us some Tim Tams, and we loved them.
So
we talked about earlier, we won a dice prize from them, which got me kind of hooked up with them on Twitter. And then one of the designers started listening to our podcast, enjoyed it, and he said, well, we would like to give you guys the opportunity to take one of our 30 handcrafted prototypes of our new game.
30 handcrafted.
This game is called Scoffton.
Wow.
It's an all-you-can-eat buffet worker placement game, which sounds completely ridiculous and also new and inventive because you've never heard of a game like that, right?
We played with my sister, and she's a nurse practitioner, and we set the board out in front of her, and the board, I didn't even get a chance to look at it, and all I hear is, that's a digestive tract. Like, wait, what?
Well, yeah, it's pretty obvious that it is. It's by some sort of human-cow hybrid. So let's talk about Scoffton. We're going to probably I'm wanting to do a video of it. Gavin was very specific or very adamant in telling me that he didn't want, a brother-in-law review. He wanted us to be brutally honest about the game. And the one thing I'll say is, okay, when you get a prototype, I made several prototypes in varying degrees of professionalism involved. Most of the time, it's just printing my own cards and finding pieces that I already have from some other game. And, sometimes I get more in-depth than others, but I probably usually put way too much into a prototype without play testing the game enough.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that upon getting this box and opening it up, it does not look like a prototype.
No, it looks like we bought it right off the shelf.
First of all, this prototype, he's not called the _ prototyper for nothing. This is not his first rodeo. Gavin and co-designer Marcus Finlay, they know something about making prototypes, apparently. I don't know how many they've done before, but this is their first game that they're going to try to take to Kickstarter for production. Okay, so you open this thing up, and it's got hand-cut boards, but they look beautiful, very thick cardboard. So I'm just telling you this because if they take this much time in putting together a prototype, when they get a chance to have a production copy,
it's going to be great.
And let's talk about...
The prototype is great.
Yeah. So when we set this prototype up, it was not like playing a prototype.
No.
Because I played many prototypes of different people at our game group and stuff. I played my own prototypes, and you can tell that this is not a finished product game. This looks like a finished product.
You cannot tell.
So let's talk about the game. Like I said, it's an all-you-can-eat buffet style or themed worker placement mechanism game. Everybody has 3 workers from the get-go, and you have a sneeze token. And you've got this board that everyone has a personal board that is your digestive tract, like Lee said.
And your table.
And your table. Has 3 sections of a stomach, Each section has 4 spots. You have 2 sections in your upper stomach and then 1 section in your lower intestines.
Just for desserts.
Lower intestines.
Because, everyone knows you have a second stomach when it comes to dessert.
Absolutely. So you can only have desserts and bread in that lower small intestine or large intestine or whatever that is spot. The other ones can have anything, the other top 2 spots. Then you've got your table where you can hold 4 different
plates of food.
Yeah, buffet style foods, and 2 places at your table to set diners. So then you've got a board in the middle that is the Scoffton restaurant itself. So you've got the middle, which has a big section of a bunch of food tokens that are randomized and placed out in 6 different stacks in the middle as the buffet.
Meat.
That's the main buffet, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got a soft serve ice cream machine that is a worker spot. You've got a salad bar, which is a worker spot. You've got a dessert table, which is a worker spot. A coffee dispenser area, which is a worker spot.
And the soup and bread.
Bread and soup area, which is a worker spot. And a claw machine, reception desk, bathroom. Those are all the areas, I think. And most of those only have 1 spot, except for the buffet food has 6 no matter what. But in a 3-player game, 3 and under, most of those places only have 1 spot to place a worker. In a 4+ player game, it opens up to 2 on a few of them. And on your turn, you go around the table taking turns placing out a worker. So I place a worker at the buffet spot. I pick any food on the buffet and I place it under that token underneath my worker, and then he sits there. Then the next person takes a turn. So it's one of those, sometimes worker placement games, you put your worker out and immediately take the action. This is one of those that you put them out and then you hold and you don't take the action until later.
Well, the order of your actions makes a big difference. Big difference.
So you do that until everyone has placed all their workers. The different action spots do different things. So each of the pieces of food tokens are square. They can go onto your plate. They each have a certain number of little pips on them that tell you how many points they're worth. It's called VFM, value for money points. So you're trying to get the most value for money at this buffet. So you can get points straight up for those when you eat them and either digest them and go to the bathroom, or there's a set of menu cards that are off to the side of the board in which you're trying to make sets of these different kinds of food in your stomach sections. Each one takes 4 different types of food. Some have the same type of food twice, and but there's all these different combinations, and those are randomized at the beginning of the game. And you're going to get bonus points if you match that whenever you fill up a food section.
So when you get your table full, you have to put a player at your table, and then you have to have your player eat the food, and then the food goes from your table to your stomach. Mm-hmm. And then once you've finished, either you can go to the bathroom and digest it, which is just disgusting, or you can finish one of the preset combinations of food
on the
menu card and finalize your points that way. So there's 2 different ways of getting points as far as what's in your stomach.
And we're getting ahead of ourselves because we're not even to that eating part yet. We're still getting our stuff, right? We're in our first phase, which is putting our workers out. If you put your worker, in all these different places we talked about, right? Then you go to a management phase where there's this deck of management cards. They will flip over. Oh, another thing you can do as a bonus action on your turn when you're placing your workers out is you've got this little sneeze meeple, which is awesome. It's a little gross looking little splat. You can put that on any piece of food stack that is available on the restaurant floor. And that basically reserves that only for you, or just straight up blocks it off from anyone else. I mean, no one else can take a thing with your sneeze on it except for you.
Yeah.
And that will stay out as long.
I lost the game last night because Ben sneezed on my salad.
You lost the game because your sister scored a lot more points than us. But
because you sneezed on my salad and I couldn't get my salad.
There was a reason why I did that. And I will talk about that. Let's get through the game overview. So that's one bonus action you can take, but you only have one of those. So once it's out there, you either have to go take that piece of food that it's on in order to get it back, or a cleaning has to happen, which takes us to the management. So the management, there's several different things that can happen in those cards. You flip one, and a waitress might clean up all spills, and with spills can happen also. Spills will block off work placement spots. And that happens from different ways. You can get that from, there's also a lost and found spot. That's the one I forgot about. Lost and found they're like special power cards that get you a one-time action to do some cool stuff. That's another worker placement spot. So spills can happen from that. Spills can happen from these management cards. Spills can happen a lot, and they're going to block stuff off. That's why you want to have someone clean up every once in a while so that you can open back up these worker placement spots. And then so the management happens. Sometimes management would like make you, if you have bread, it's like the bread guy comes around, right? Well, they're always trying to fill you up on bread so that you don't, at every buffet, so that you don't eat too much of the buffet food, right? So this guy will make you eat bread if you have it, which can really screw you up. It screwed me up a couple times in the game. If you have bread on your table, then you have to eat it.
Yeah, because they want you to fill up on bread. That's what they want you to do.
And there's
at a buffet.
another one that makes you take bread. It just gives you bread, which seems nice then until you end up having to eat it and you don't want it. The other cool thing is whenever you get to this next step of activating our workers. So that's when we go around and in any order you want, you can take them off of the board and you take whatever's under them or you take the action of the spot. So if you win at the buffet, you're going to take your food, put it on your table. If you have a diner at your table, that's what Leander was talking about. You can eat food on your table. You can eat, you get 2 actions for each diner. So you can either eat 2 things, or there's several other options you can do. You can settle, which is rearrange your stomach area. You can call a waitress or a waiter to come and get rid of any food that you've got that you don't want, like you got that extra bread and you don't want it. You can rearrange your table, which is cool because if you have soup, bread can be put on top of soup and makes it worth an extra point when it scores.
If you have coffee, ice cream can go in your coffee.
Ice cream can go in your coffee. Normally, coffee just gets stacked in the middle of your table on a saucer. It doesn't take up one of your plates, and it's just worth a point apiece at the end of the game. But if you take some ice cream that you've gotten and place it in your coffee, then you can move it over to one of your plates, and then it's called an affogato, which I never knew what that was. That's not a thing here that I know of, but it's ice cream and coffee apparently. So you can make that, and it's going to be
which is brilliant, by the way.
That's pretty good. It's going to be worth 2 points that way. And it's the thing you need to do a bunch of the dessert menu items, right? So you're going to do that at the table. The other thing, then everybody's going to resolve all his actions. So the only way you get first player token moves is if you go to reception and you complain. There's 2 things you can do at reception. You can say the service here is terrible, in which case you get to be first player next.
Yep.
Or you can say this place is disgusting, which is going to make everything get cleaned up.
So no more sneezing on my salad.
All the sneezes are gone. The spills are cleaned up. Everything gets restocked, and you get a free cup of coffee for complaining. So that's one thing you can do. And then you go around, and otherwise you pick up all your food from the different food stations, your dessert, your buffet food, your salad, your bread. You put that on your table. You can eat, like we said. If you eat and fill up a spot in your stomach with all 4 spots, it immediately gets scored. Whether or not those spots match any of the menu items or not depends on whether you've done your job right. And then you take you add up all the pips that are on the food items, and you see if you matched any of the menu items, in which case you'll get a bonus point, and you clear off that stomach section, and you place those points on there, which means you can't eat anymore in that stomach section. Game's over once somebody fills up all 3 of their stomach sections. Interesting thing that happened to me, which is, okay, so prawns are in the game, right? They're worth 3 points to eat them, but there are 4 prawn tokens. One of them is a poisoned one. One of them has gone bad.
One of them gives you food poisoning.
One of them gives you food poisoning, in which case you got to lose half the stuff in your stomach, which means you're not going to score that like you thought you were going to, and you only reveal it. You only get to look at the other side of it when you filled up your stomach with it.
Right.
So you don't know until after you've eaten it. And unless there's a card that lets you peek at your table, which is nice, a science kit, which lets you like test your food to see if it's
You totally should have done it.
Should have done that. Didn't. Ate the poison prawn. Lost because I was doing good. I had gotten 3 prawn before and ate them and scored my belly, and none of them were good. And then they got shuffled up, and I got the bad one.
And then he had to spend the next turn for one of his guys in the bathroom.
And you can't take any actions with them. So that's interesting. But then the other spots that you activate are the claw machine.
I hope you washed your hands.
The claw machine, never. It's Scoffton. Why would we wash our hands? We just go right back to the buffet.
Ew.
So the claw machine. Gavin had told me that his daughter just ruled him in this game by doing the claw machine a lot. Well, I decided, okay, that's good advice from the designer. I'll go to the claw machine. I pulled 6 cards off the claw machine in that game.
Denied.
Never got a single thing. Latoya did one special action from the Lost and Found, which gave her 3 cards. She scored on every one of them, got 7 points off of it.
Yep.
You got some points off of it.
I got 4 points off of a hot dog.
I never got anything off it. So claw machine is just super random. You flip over 1 card normally. Like I said, there's a Lost and Found card that allows you to do 3.
I wish we didn't have to shuffle them back in.
Oh, that's the part of it.
See, and random. I don't, because because it betters your chances. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like And so when you flip it and it's denied, then you have to reshuffle it back in. But that's more cards, so if we've gotten some, I guess if you've gotten all the good ones and all that's left is the denied ones, you're not going to go back. So.
Yeah, you're just not going to, there's no reason to go back there at that point.
That's true.
I mean, maybe it'd be okay to, if there was like you could discard up to 2 before you shuffle them back in or something, but I don't know. It works like it is. It's a risky spot.
It's completely random.
It's a risky spot to take. But it can be big. It can be lucrative because she won by 7 points. That might be the 7 points that she got out of that claw machine. It was worth her time to take that card. And then there is the bathroom, where at any time you can go to the bathroom and you can get rid of anything that's in an unfinished area of your stomach and score the points that are on that thing right away. And that's just what happens to you.
So of course it was humorous, the whole, Ben had to go
because everybody was, because here's why I sneezed on your salad, because I had to go to the bathroom, man. I needed to go take a dump bad.
But then I thought I had to go poop, and so I went to the bathroom, and then he couldn't go to the bathroom. But then I looked at my card
at the end of the round. I'm like, oh, what? I looked up after you took your turn. I'm like, what? Why did you go there?
Because he was after me, and then I ended up playing it wrong, and then I didn't have to go poop.
At the end of the round, she didn't even do it. All she did was block me off. And I was so mad, and I said, okay, I know you're looking for that salad, and you're never I'm going to make it my mission that you never get that salad.
He sneezed all over the salad. He got Toya against me. Toya took the other salad, and then she ended up winning. You see how this all happened?
Yeah, just because you hogged the bathroom.
But it was an accident.
Yep. Well, sometimes accidents that involve bathroom are a bad thing, babe.
I went to the bathroom. I tried to make myself puke. Nothing came up, so I had to go back and sit down.
Mm-hmm. It was a false alarm.
It was a false alarm.
Okay, so that's pretty much everything that happens in the course of the game. And then everyone takes their thing back. If the first player has changed by someone with a reception, you do that. And then you just continue doing this until someone has filled up and scored all 3 of their stomach sections. You finish that round. Game over. Count up your point chips.
It was so much fun. Like, there was so much laughing in this game. Like, it was funny. It was fun.
It just has the perfect tone, I think.
It's
funny.
The artwork is like Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, it's like Bob's Burgers.
Like that's how the card,
So I would say when you see this, so when this comes to Kickstarter, here's going to be this is, I think, their biggest hurdle to get over, is that when you see the artwork without it all put together in the board and how it works together, if you just see a single piece of artwork from this game, you're going to be less than impressed. Mm-hmm. Because it's done in a style that's purposeful. I thought it was just placeholder art when I first started seeing it, that they were going to get different art or something, and this was just prototype art. But this is the art, and it's not good art, but it's perfect art.
It's perfect.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not supposed to be good. It's that weird balance where a lot of times
it's not like the beautiful spa art from the last game we talked about. This art is specifically done to look like it looks.
Absolutely.
And it's perfect for the game.
So if you can get the point across that it works with the game and it all works as a piece together, it's good. But one single piece of artwork out of this game is not going to blow anybody's socks off, as you say.
Yeah.
So
shut up.
so that's, I think, the biggest hurdle to get people over when they just see pictures of the game. Now, I think whenever the whole game is laid out on the table and everything, it looks cool.
Fun.
The color palette is very washed out and kind of 1980s kind of look. You got some bright colors, then you got some washed out colors, and it kind of has a good balance together. I think it actually turned out to be a benefit of the game. I just don't know how hard that will be to get across in pictures, that it actually does work well together. But if you embrace that Bob's Burgers type aesthetic,
that's exactly what it is.
I think you're going to like that. The humor is in some ways subtle and in some ways just kind of in your face, but it's in no way is it raunchy. Like, the raunchiest thing is going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But it actually works as it needs to be in the game.
Like, the lost and found cards are fun. You can call the health inspector. You can get a long pair of tongs and take something off of the buffet.
They're thematic. Everything's very thematic.
It really is. And so there's, and it's just fun. We laughed a lot during this game.
And I think there's a lot of strategy in the game. It's not, there's, again, just like Petrichor, there's more strategy in this game than you would think by the look of the game.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to do with timing and hedging.
How you take in what turn order you take your players' actions. It will just make a ruin. Yeah, I mean, that's
and
just
you can do a lot of blocking. You can do a lot of defensive play. You can do a lot of things to ensure that you get exactly what you need. There's some foreplanning.
We did have to ask a question.
Yep, there was a couple of things that we had to clarify. The rules are pretty darn good. The rule book is
there was only one question, I think.
Yeah, there was one question and a couple of things that would have made a little bit more sense if graphically represented on the board. But just a couple of little got your rules. But for the most part, teaching the game was pretty easy. I taught it right out of the rule book. And once we played one round, we all knew what was going on.
Yep.
There's just a couple of little questions, and I got on Twitter, not knowing at all what time it is in Australia, and DM'd Gavin, and he got right back to us, and it was how we had ruled it anyway. So I mean, it's right, it's written right. It's just a little confusing on one of the menu.
Sorry
cards,
if we woke you up,
but he responded right back, and that may be something that gets changed because he said they've gotten that question quite a bit because it's just not. It could be clarified more. But other than that, I mean, for this being a prototype, I thought. I mean, it's pretty well ready to go because the Kickstarter is going to start in November. So there'll be a few small changes, I think, but it's about ready to go. So
Toya said she'd back it on Kickstarter.
So Latoya played it, and she has never backed anything on Kickstarter, and she said, yeah, I would for sure buy this game.
She wants it.
So she's going to probably make this her first backed Kickstarter. I will back it too, I think, just because,
because we got a copy
I appreciate
of it.
the hard work that went into it. But I wouldn't, okay, here's the thing. If the game wasn't as good as it is, I've got a prototype that's just about as good as
the prototype's awesome.
thing. So I don't need the game, is what I'm saying. Like, I don't need to buy it, but I would to support these designers, and I encourage you to, because it is them taking a risk on the aesthetic, the theme, but then delivering with a really cool game.
Agreed.
A game that's interactive. There's not one turn that happened where something you didn't affect one of us, which is great in a worker placement game.
Gosh, what card did you take? The Lazy Susan card.
Yes, and I thought it was going to work out for me. It ended up screwing me. I ended up not doing it.
So the Lazy Susan card is where each player gets to take a piece of food from the person next to. So it's like, at your table, you get to turn the table and take a piece of food depending on the order that's on your Lazy Susan, right? And so Ben thought he was just going to totally screw me and Toya. So he was going to take something from Toya. Toya was going to take something from me. And then I was going to be able to take something from Ben.
Which is the thing that I wanted to take from LaToya. She was going to steal right back from me. And so that's another example of you needing to think about your turn order. And just because you get the ability to do this thing doesn't mean it's going to turn out good for you.
So he ended up just not taking it.
Yeah, because you have the option to not do the action. After thinking it over and being pointed out that you're about to get screwed by doing this, I'm like, yeah, never mind. We're not doing that.
Never mind.
So I just wasted a meeple I wasted one of my workers to do something that I didn't do. And there's just a lot of that in the game where it takes some thought. And I really appreciate that.
Yep.
In a game like this.
We enjoyed it. It was fun.
So that's Scoffton by Vamoose Co., designed by Gavin Vance and Marcus Finlay. It's going to be coming to Kickstarter sometime in mid-November, I believe. And
Back it up.
We're going to talk more about it. I would really like to make a how-to-play video of this. I got to get my video chops up, but hopefully I'll make a couple by mid-November, and maybe we can get one out in to correlate with the Kickstarter campaign, and you guys can see how this game actually, it's really cool.
Yep.
So that's Scoffton, and that is not a brother-in-law review. I'm not saying this just because now I do like the guy. We've had a good time talking back and forth on Twitter. But if the game wasn't good, I would mention how good the prototype is, and I would still say the prototype was awesome. But the game is very light or whatever, and I wouldn't be cruel. I'm not gonna do that. I like everything. I mean, I find something to like in every game. That's why I'm a bad reviewer, because I'm just gonna tell you. Also, I'm picky about what I buy. I don't buy anything if I don't think I'm going to like it. So if I spend money on it,
you're not a bad review. Okay, I'm not a bad reviewer.
No, you are honest. You're brutally honest. So if I wasn't honest, Leandro would call me honest. So this is as honest as I can be. I mean, I was very impressed. I was more impressed with this game than I really thought I would be. Even though I didn't think I wouldn't shit all over the game.
Yeah, just opening it out of the box, I was like, oh, well, it's Bob's Burger. That's exactly what I thought, And then when we got to playing it, I was like, oh, this is super fun. And it was like, we just laughed the whole entire time. I was, every time Ben went to go sneeze on my salad, I was cussing him. And, and Toya's trying to snort Dr. Pepper through her nose because Ben's over there making her laugh about going to the bathroom. And it was just a lot of fun.
Yep. But the two true drawbacks I could see that you could think about, like, okay, if you don't like fun, you're not going to like this game. Like, there are some people that don't want
like the
humor.
serious
They don't want
games.
humor in their worker placement games, at all.
Yeah,
And they
that
would
is
miss
true.
out on some great mechanisms that are very unique mechanisms
There you
for a
go.
worker placement game that I haven't seen before. And you'd be missing out on that if you just
Like the
looked
serious
at
games.
Yeah, if you just looked at the theme and you're like, I don't want to laugh and have fun while I play my game. That can't be a good game if you're laughing and having fun. No, this is both.
It
this
is.
has strategy and laughter, which is very rare.
Yep.
So keep your eye peeled for more on Scoffton. Go to Twitter and follow Gavin at the _ prototyper, and his partner Gavin Marcus Finlay is at Spudhole. So you can check those guys out, and they'll keep you updated on the progress of when that Kickstarter is going to start, and I'm sure we will too. So that's it for Scoffton. Let's move on. We got a few more to go, babe.
Yep.
This episode's going to be all about games played. I think that's
Apparently.
pretty much what we've been doing. So we pulled out another moldy oldie because I went to Target the other day, and Target's clearance is a nice thing to check out every once in a while for board games because they will sell stuff ridiculously cheap when they're trying to get rid of it. They had the infamous tin box of Forbidden Island for less than $5 a piece. And now most of the tins were all beat up and smashed, but I picked through the whole bunch of them and found 2 good ones. Went ahead and picked up 2 copies because I was like, this would be a good gift for somebody, you know? And I had always enjoyed Forbidden Island on the iPad. I played it solo a lot. We had Forbidden Desert when we first started playing board games, and I wasn't crazy about it. It was harder than hell, I thought, because I'd played Forbidden Island enough to know that you can win it and you can lose it, and it's a good balance of both. Forbidden Desert, we probably played it 5-6 times, and we never even came close to winning. I don't know if we just sucked or weren't getting something right.
I wish I could remember for you, but I can't.
You can't even remember.
Sorry.
It's basically the same game with some more stuff on top of it. So I pulled it out, and it was like a brand new game to you because you didn't remember Forbidden Desert anyway.
Nope.
And the other thing is, we had a couple weeks before been to Target, and I picked up Forbidden Sky, which is the third in the series by Matt Leacock and Game Right Games in this. And I was so impressed. We haven't played it yet, but just I got it out and played around with it because there's a big toy factor in this game. There's a bunch of plastic pieces, and you end up making connections with them as part of your actions in the game. It's a tile laying game where you're trying to make these circuits in order to electrify this rocket to escape from this floating platform, right? That's the game's theme. Well, you actually are putting down these plastic pieces with metal ends on them, and you make a circuit, and when you make the circuit back to the rocket, it completes the circuit, and the battery inside the rocket fires off, and it's got lights and sound effects, and you win by the rocket taking off. That just blew me away because I was like, oh, you actually do this? I thought you just push a button on the rocket when you won, and it was it. I was like, why did they go all this trouble putting actual metal in these pieces? Oh, because it's actually making a circuit. So cool. So I want to play that, but I haven't had time to get it out. And I know how to play Forbidden Island, so I bought it, threw it out on the table with you, me, and LaToya yesterday. And so not remembering anything about Forbidden Desert, what did you think about Forbidden Island?
It was fun. I really enjoyed it. Like I like that kind of game. It was push your luck and hurry the hell up, and the time's ticking away, and it was super fun. I liked it.
Yep. So Forbidden Island is basically you lay out this island of tiles in a certain formation, and you start. They start sinking immediately. There's a deck of location cards that every turn you're going to draw a couple of those, and those are either going to flip over to a flooded side, or if they're already flooded, just disappear. And you're trying to collect these 4 idols from different spots on the board by turning in treasure cards, 4 of a kind of that idol, and you can claim it. You need to claim all 4 of those idols and get to Fool's Landing with a helicopter treasure card, and everyone has to be there.
And the idols are in nice, big, colorful plastic.
It's a great present.
Yeah.
For $5, I mean, there's so much game in there. The artwork is beautiful on the tiles. It's got amazing, realistic, creepy. The island is like a really, like magical, creepy island, kind of a dark aesthetic. The little idols have miniatures. They're awesome. There's a lion, there's a fire ruby, there's a chalice, and there is a little like cracked globe looking thing, like statue or something. They're very, very detailed, very cool. And everything in the game is top-notch production from Game Right.
So it's a co-op game, and you work together, and everyone gets has their own special power depending on which character you are, and that's random. You don't get to choose. So that was kind of nice that we didn't,
And we got a good combination.
We got a really good
spanked it.
combination.
Like we were never really in too much danger. And that's the thing about this game. It can swing wildly depending on just what cards come up. We got lucky, and like all our flood cards would come up early in the stack, and then that made it to where we could deal with the problems and have time to deal. But if those flood cards come out the wrong time, it can just screw you.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, your whole island's gone. And
you have to be in the same tiles in order to switch. What is those cards called?
Treasure cards.
Treasure cards, so that you can win the idols, or turn in the cards to get the idols. And it was a simple game, but it's fun. It was super fun. It's really fast, and it's the time's ticking away game. Hurry. So I liked it.
And the only reason we brought it up is because literally it was on sale. I was like, I wasn't going to go buy Forbidden Island. I was past that, but I'm glad that I did, because and now I've downloaded it again on the iPad, and I've played 10 games of it in a row. Because it's just a fun, great little co-op. And
that's the kind of game I like after work. It's not like, oh my God, I have to really think game.
Well, we need to get Forbidden Sky out on the table and try that out too, because that'll mean that we've played all 3 in the series, and maybe even we might even want to give Forbidden Desert another try now that we're
Since
more
I don't
in
remember,
playing games.
Probably a good idea.
So if they ever throw that on sale for $5, I'll
there
pick
you
that up
go.
too. So there you go. That's Matt Leacock and Game Right Games with the Forbidden series. And then we played one more to end the night last night, babe.
We did.
It was right up your sister's alley.
Yes.
I wasn't sure. Again, I got this for $5, I think, at my friendly local game store. Metagames had it on their used shelf. It's called Herbalism. It is by Emperor S4 Games, designed by Lu Zhao and Eros Lin, with art by Steven Tsai. I'm pretty sure I got all that exactly right.
You did.
This is a Japanese design game, much like, or maybe Korean. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I know Emperor S4 has done some Chinese and Korean developers. They also put out Burano, which we really like. Their games are all pretty cool. That's why I took a chance on it. I didn't know anything about this small box card game, but it's by Emperor S4, and I've never played a game of theirs that was bad, so we got it.
Well, the artwork doesn't disappoint.
Artwork is cool. It's a very Japanese style, kind of watercolory, beautiful, realistic depictions of these ingredients. And what you're doing, what it really is, it's like a Clue version. It's
Did
like
you
a
say
card.
the name of it?
It's called Herbalism.
Okay.
It's like a Clue of card game version of Clue.
It is.
Is what it is. It's just a pure deduction game and card counting game. There's 5 actions that you can take. Each action gets you a little bit of different type of information from your other players. What happens is you take all these cards and you shuffle them up, and then you put 2 secretly underneath this one cure card, and then everybody has their hand of cards. In a 3-player game, you have 4 cards apiece. You just deal out the rest of the cards in that deck. And you're trying to, by taking these actions, get as much information as you can by swapping cards, by asking. I mean, it depends on honesty of all players, because if you lie, you'll screw the game up.
Yeah.
So you tell honestly, how many of these types of things, and it's got a cool mechanism where you get to choose between 2 colors most of the time, so you can be a little cryptic, and it's just a really good deduction game.
I suck at deduction games, but I do enjoy playing it.
We played it late at night, and Lily and Leandra during the second round of it was just like, maybe I'm just too tired for this, because you were just like, I can't remember anything. I can't remember what I just saw last. So I thought I would be terrible at it, and I didn't win. I only scored 1 point in the entire game out of 6 you need to win. But towards the end, it was clicking with me, and I was being able to kind of file the information that I was getting away in my brain in a way that made sense. But LaToya is like a Clue master, so she was like, "Oh, I got this," And I was trying to just kind of follow her lead to sneak in and get, because you can follow a person's answer. I was trying to at least get a point out of that, but she was doing everything, so she was coming up with it so fast.
I know you guys were like taking. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and take a what was that called? Prediction. Like for the first round, I was like, Jesus. I don't even know what cards I have in my hand. Like, I don't know what's happening.
Well, I was jumping the gun a lot, because I was like, if I don't take predictions early, she's going to take them. And I was good on the predictions, but I wasn't good on the answers.
If you predict it and it's correct, then you get an extra victory point. Yep. So it's beneficial, of course.
But then if you guess wrong, you get a negative victory point. So what I would do is get points on predictions and then lose them all, because I would get the wrong answer. But
Toy kicked ass.
It was super cool, and I think that's one that we'll play again. For sure. So that's Herbalism.
See, there are games I can lose that I still like.
That's true. So Now we're going to move on to a big box, huge Kickstarter game that finally came in. We did a big feature on Western Legends in our episode number, I don't remember. It's called Western Love, Legends of the Fog, I think was the name of the episode, where we talked about Western Legends and Fog of Love.
Oh, okay.
And we interviewed AJ, a friend of mine that now works at Colossal Games, and he is a developer there, and he helped develop this game. Western Legends is designed by Hervé Lemitri. It is a big sandbox Western style game. Now, you might remember that there was a little storyline leading into our feature on the preview episode, and I think there might be another installment of that coming up. And then we'll talk a little bit about Western Legends. Previously on Western Legends, Doc Holliday and Calamity Jane had moseyed into the same dusty town and found that there just weren't enough room for the both of them. And now, the conclusion of Western Legends. Now I'm telling you, Calamity, this is your last warning to come out with your hands up.
This is your last chance to get out of town without getting ventilated, law dog.
Now that kind of talk ain't very ladylike.
Good thing I don't see no ladies.
All right then, that's well enough, because I didn't come here prepared to shoot no ladies. All right, so let's get down and dirty, dust our boots off and talk about Western Legends. So, Western Legends, babe, we talked all about it before, finally got the Kickstarter in. First, let's talk about how it looks. Looks awesome.
It looks awesome. I'm not even a Western fan, like, in general, like, that's not my favorite theme of game, but when it gets all laid out, it's like, oh, this is kind of fun.
Got a beautiful board that has great artwork that looks like a big map that's been laid out, featuring two towns, Dark Rock and Red Falls, I think, and everything in between. You've got your lowlands, your cattle ranches, your railroad. You got all that stuff, and it's very beautifully rendered on the board.
Cards.
Yeah, and the game runs off this poker card action system. Well, special actions basically. The poker cards are multi-use cards, which are pretty cool, and everybody always likes that. You've got the game itself, I guess, with the presentation, I will keep going on that. They have the general store that you put together that is a three-dimensional row, a cardboard holder that holds all your cards for your general store. And double row, so you can see them all the time. You set that off the side of the board. I think that's part of the even the retail version of the game. And then you get your character miniatures and your bandit miniatures, your marshal miniatures. So a whole bunch of miniatures, very well done. You've got, with the Kickstarter version, there are a bunch of extra miniatures. There are 2 different expansions that come with it that have various modules in them. Each one has several different modules that you can add or not. We took everything in the game and threw it in. So we have not played the game without every single thing that you can possibly play. The only thing we haven't tried is the Man in Black, which is only used in a 2-player game. So we haven't had any need to use it because we haven't played it 2-player yet. Presentation-wise, couldn't be happier with it. There's not a single complaint. Player boards, some people have said they've played it and been like, well, the player boards could have been cardboard instead of cardstock, but they're heavy enough cardstock that doesn't bother me. And they're double-sided, so you've got a slightly more advanced version you can play with the legendary tokens, which, of course, we just played it with that. So production-wise, hats off.
Yep.
Kudos, all that good stuff. It's excellent. The art direction, I like the style of art. Like I said, it is my favorite. I mean, there's not enough of them, but this kind of game is what I've been wanting for a long time. So when I heard it announced, they made Western themed games before, but they just didn't have that. They didn't have that pizzazz that I was looking for. This has like everything I want.
Like the Oregon Trail one.
Yeah.
I didn't care for it.
Like with a Western game, what I want is to be able to just play around in that world. I want it to be like, it very much reminds me of Red Dead Redemption, the video game, where you can just go out and do whatever the hell you want in the Old West. And that's the feel that this game gets you. So let's get to the gameplay. So basically you get certain number of actions on your turn, 3 actions. You can, or is it 4? I don't know, 3 or 4 actions on your turn. And you got a whole bunch of options. I think it's 3. So you can move. You move up to your speed. You can move faster if you have a mount. You can get a donkey. You can get a Mustang. You can get, so varying degrees. They either give you 1 extra movement point or up to like 5. You can move up to 5. Everybody gets their starting character, and your starting character will tell you where to start and what you start with. So sometimes you start with like an upgraded revolver, which means you're already getting advantages in fighting and stuff. Sometimes some players start out wanted.
Dead or alive. Sorry.
Very nice.
Carry on.
So, oops, I just knocked the hell out of my microphone. That got me so excited, babe. I was throwing up the horns on that one. But it's going to be hard to give an overview of this game. We did talk a lot about it before, but I don't even want to there's so much to do in this game, from managing the wanted track to the marshal track to
playing poker. There's
rustling
a lot
cattle
going on.
or wrangling cattle, and it's a big thing of like a lot of times you really got to make that decision. Do I want to go good or bad, or jump back and forth between the two?
Which you absolutely can.
Because I thought the way to do it is to go bad. Looks like you get more points if you do, because here's the thing about if you're being on the wanted track, you get points at the end of every turn based on how far up you're there. And on the marshal track, you don't get points every turn.
But then you have the sheriff being turned, directed at you to get arrested.
Absolutely.
And people can arrest you, and the sheriff can arrest you. And
so you're living dangerously by doing that. But it does seem like that if someone goes that route, and everybody just leaves them alone for 1 or 2 turns, they get such a far lead. So this game does have a runaway leader. I don't want to call it a problem. Call it the possibility, and that's because if you let someone be wanted and run around and don't challenge them, then they will get a lot more points than everybody else.
Yep,
so
Steven ran with it.
Unless everybody tries that tactic. So one way to fight against that is go bad yourself, or kind of have one or may take even 2 players taking some of their actions to try to stop that person before they get a bunch of points being bad.
Yeah, the first time we played, you were the bad guy, and you ran with it with me and Toya.
Yep, I really ran away with it in that. It just because you're getting those points all the time. And
I will say, the first time you play, the setup of it can be a bit overwhelming because there's so much going on. So it definitely does take a game to get it under your belt, and then it's an immediate, I want to play again. So even though it's kind of a longer game, you do want to play 2 times in a row, just because now I know what I'm doing. I know what the poker cards are for, because they're the poker cards can be 3 different kinds of actions.
They could do up to 3 different things really for you. You can use them in a lot of different ways.
They're repercussions, they're bonuses, they're actual actions, and then they're actual poker cards. And so there's all these different aspects of ways to get points. And so once you play it the first time, like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. Let's just go ahead and dive in and play again. So
we did that the first time we played. We immediately played again because you guys got mad at me because I ran away with it, and we immediately played again. And then it was much closer game. It was. And
I feel like that's having that as your immediate reaction says it all for a new game. It does.
A good sign. Whenever you immediately want to play a game again, I know that's a good sign.
I mean, not just me, but in general. Like even Latoya was like, okay, let's do this again. Yep. We both got our asses kicked, but let's play it again.
But there's so much going on, and we want to give it a try.
Yes.
So I would say that the just vast number of actions that you can take on your turn and things that you can do make it imperative to have a cheat sheet. Now, luckily, this game comes with cheat sheets. They are maybe production-wise one of the things I think they should have made them heavy cardstock, because they're literally almost like they're same paper that the rule book is printed on. So they're very flimsy, and you have to have them.
You have to have them.
Every type of action resolves in a little bit of a different way that it's almost impossible to memorize. There's so many. So like depending on the type of person you're fighting, if it's a player versus player, they can either fight 3 ways. They can rob, they can duel, or they can try to arrest if that person's wanted. And each one of those has a slightly different outcome to it.
Yeah.
Whenever you when you rob the bank, it plays a little differently. Whenever you fight the sheriff, it plays a little differently. You need that cheat sheet in order to figure out what's going to happen here.
Yeah, you have to have it. And that's a lot where you and I differ, because you've made prototypes. And so, seeing the cheat sheet and the quality of the paper, it didn't even
But I laminated it too. Yeah. So that way you didn't know. It wouldn't, I don't think they would hold up overuse, because people are picking them up.
I thought it came laminated.
No, I did that because I was like, these aren't going to last.
Of course, you have to have them.
They're double-sided, and you're picking them up all the time, and they're just one spill on it, and you'd be down 1, and then you have to have them. I would imagine, I haven't checked this, but I would imagine on Colossal's website or on BGG or something, you can probably just download a new copy of it, which is no big deal. And if that's not already a thing, I'm sure it will be at some point. Because if you don't laminate them, I don't think they're going to last. And like I said, the only reason that matters is because you have to have them for the game. So it would have been nice if they were heavier cardstock, but
What was your favorite aspect of the game? I know mine.
You know yours? Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think the managing the tracks, deciding which one to go on, deciding if it's time to jump off of being a bad guy and go do a good action that's going to make you lose all those points. Because I think there's a turning point in the game where you could do that. You get a bunch of points early. Then as soon as people start coming from you, you just go do something good like wrangle a cow and then get off of that track, get on the marshal track, start getting those in-game points. Mm-hmm. I think there's a good bonus of that. I think I really like that, and I also like the fact that there are limits on what you can have. I like that there's limits on the gold that you can have, and there's limits on the money that you can have. It forces you to go take some of those other actions that you might not
go spend your cards or spend your money
that give you points that you might not realize are good things to do, and it forces you to do that by having those limits. I think that's really cool. Yep. What is your favorite aspect of the game?
Fighting with the poker cards.
Fighting with poker cards.
I think that's so much fun, and so when you fight someone, if you fight a bandit, the person to your right, I think.
Yep.
The person to your right actually ends up being the holder of the cards of who you're fighting.
Yep.
So
there's a special deck of poker cards.
So they don't play with the poker cards. They play with a whole special fight deck.
Which is another little poker deck.
It is. But the thing is on there is the cards also have different powers on them too. Mm-hmm. So you're either going to help the person you're fighting or you're going to really screw the person you're fighting. So you may throw the fight just so you don't give them more points.
Yeah, if they win, they might get a point just by losing. Even if you lose the fight, you might get a point. So you might let them win the fight because it's not going to hurt them. They're going to get a point anyway. And so
as the person initiating it, you get to play with your poker cards. And like I said before, these poker cards there's so many different ways to use them. There's the action or the special power that comes with it, and there's the actual face value of the poker card.
So basically, you're just playing war with the fight. Yeah. You're both picking one card, and a high card wins, right? But then those cards have the potential to have an action or bonus that happens as well as playing it. So that might be a bonus that has to do with fighting.
Like you're going to have a -2 on whatever face value you're playing, and
plus. So that seems pretty simple, right? Just high card, but then also all of your items that you get throughout the game, like your different types of, like you can get a hat that gives you some stuff. You can get better and better weapons, shotguns and pistols and stuff, and upgrade them to where they get special abilities and start giving you advantages in fighting as well. So it all becomes like, I got to know, okay, so right away
you have a revolver that's a -2.
I'm starting at a -3 right away. So I got to think about what card I need to play in order, because I know it's a -3, but I'm also taking off 2 of theirs. So then, sometimes it's a wash. Sometimes your special abilities cancel each other out, and it's just, we're playing high card
and
again.
Then each character has their own little they have three. Yep. Well, they have special abilities, and they also have their 3 little mini goals that they want to do. So, winning a poker game in town, then you get to go up one on the point track, or there's just so many different ways to get points. And
those poker cards are really cool. Just the way that they did them and had them even have different special abilities, like a reaction. So after you play that high card in a fight, if you have any reaction cards in your hand that have to do with fighting, there's some reactions that don't have to do with fighting. Then you can play it down as well, and the other person gets a chance to play reactions of their hands. And after everybody's done playing cards and passes all the time, then you resolve it. So there's a fight so much better than just rolling dice. Mm-hmm. There's like so much more to think about when you go into it. And sometimes you might just be screwed because you always get to draw a card when you start a fight. So you might only have one card in your hand. You might go into a fight with no cards in your hand and have to get that one. But the other cool thing, and one interesting aspect of the game, is at the beginning of every turn, you get to choose something to start with at every single turn. So every turn you can either take $20, which is good to have money because you want to buy stuff at the general store, you want to go play poker, you got to have money for all that. Or you can take 2 poker cards, which are also always good to have. They're good for fighting, they're good for their special actions. Or you can get 1 poker card and $10, which is a nice even
half and half
of those two.
Sure.
And that ensures that no matter if you go all in on something in the turn before, then if you make it to your next turn without getting attacked or whatever, you're going to have stuff in your hand to work with.
Yes.
Even if you get robbed, you're going to turn around, you're going to get money next turn. So they did a good job with the rules and thinking of, what's going to be not fun in this game. It's going to be not fun if you get stuck with nothing to do on your turn. So we're going to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, you're going to always have a choice to get money or a poker card.
Yep. So I guess that's pretty much all we need to talk about Western Legends, right? I mean, I think that for a first game, I mean, there's no real caveat here, but as this being Colossal's first game out of the gate, they picked a really, really good one to start with.
They did.
Because it's got everything it's got everything in the box. It's got miniatures. It's got high quality cards. It's got great artwork. It's got great theming, and the mechanics all work good with the theme. It plays up to 5 players. We played it with 5 players.
We did. Well, I will say one negative thing about that. That made the turns take way too long.
It did. But I enjoyed it still. It did take much longer in between your turns. Like, after you took your turn,
it was a good 10 minutes.
You had a good 10
turn.
minutes at least before you were going to play again. Which, if the game wasn't if you weren't interested in other people's turns, but you are. That's the one thing about this game. You got to watch what other people are doing.
Sure, I was the first 10 rounds, but after that, I was okay.
Yeah. So we've played it 3 players several times and 5 players once. And
I prefer 3.
I prefer probably 3. We haven't tried it 2 yet. We haven't tried it 4. So maybe there's a sweet spot in there. But 3 was really good.
5 was a bit much for me.
Yeah, 5 was a bit much, but it has the ability. So if you have a big game night, this is one of those games that if you got people that don't mind chilling out and
sink in, you're going to be there a while.
Yeah. And the good thing is, like, someone plays poker on their turn. If you're in the same town, you get in on the game too poker. If you want to. Yep. If you might be sitting over there in the middle of that 10 minutes and get attacked 3 times in that time.
That's exactly right. And if the person sitting next to you is fighting, you have to be the person that they're fighting against.
Yeah.
And
I think they did a lot to think about those sorts of things. So, you got a potential to be doing something when it's not your turn, which helps.
Yes, especially with the big player.
So I just think they picked a really good game to come out of the gate with, and for us, it's a success. It's going to get played multiple times. It's already gotten played more than several games we have.
Which, by the way, we calculated. He's got about 40 games in here that he hasn't even played, y'all. That's a lot of unplayed money sitting on the shelves in here. Yeah, and this one will not be one of them. This guy's already... Western Legends has already been played more than 40 of the games that are in this room right now.
There you go. So what higher praise can we give it? So I say Colossal Games and Hervé Lemitry, you did a really good job on this design, and it makes me excited to get Kami-sama, which is our friend AJ's design, is the next one coming out of it's already in shipment process right now, So we should be having Kami-sama pretty soon. And we'll probably try to interview AJ again to talk about his particular game a little bit more and see if Colossal keeps rolling, because they keep coming out with Kickstarters. Right now, they've got Mezzo up there. I'm backing that.
Make sure you tell Toya.
Yep. I don't know. I don't know if it's her type of game or not, but it might be. Yeah, actually, it probably is her type of game. So maybe I should tell her.
Yep.
If she wants to spend $125 on a game, then maybe she can start off with that. So that's our review of Western Legends by Hervé Lemitry and Colossal Games. Now let's move on to everyone's second favorite segment, Meeple of Madness Music Minute. And here we are with the Meeple of Madness Music Minute, the segment that is only surpassed by everyone's other favorite segment, IRL, which is to follow as soon as this one concludes. Probably too much preamble?
I think so.
Here we go.
All right.
On to the plagiarized music. I don't know why I said plagiarized. We're just, anyway.
We're boosting it.
We're going to play we're boosting it?
Is that the right word?
Yeah, just stealing it. No, we're going to play some clips of some music that we are into right now in hopes that you will also like it and patronize these artists and give them some of your hard-earned cash for their artistic output. So, first up, Leandra's pick for the Meeple of Madness Music Minute this week is
Susan Tedeschi.
Susan Tedeschi.
Yes, I found her by what's that guy's name? On my Pandora station. She just popped up when I had that Tad Benoit.
Tad Benoit?
Yeah,
or
that
Benoit,
guy.
Tad Benoit.
And then she showed up on his station, and It Hurt So Bad is the song that caught my attention, and I jumped up and I was like, jumped up.
And you're like, babe, have you ever heard of this girl, Susan Tedeschi? And I was like, no, you mean Susan Tedeschi? Yeah, I've heard of her. She has been around for a long time. She is a singer, guitarist, did a lot of like, sort of her early stuff was a little bit more in that guitar hero realm because she was such kind of like a phenom guitar player. And people are, for some reason, usually really blown away by a female guitar player if they're good. I really understand that because I've seen a lot of really, really good female guitar players, but for some reason, people are more impressed when it's a girl that does it.
That is true.
She was one of those kind of phenom guitar players that would be featured in Guitar World magazine and stuff like that. And then she got married to Derek Trucks, who is the son of Butch Trucks, the drummer for the Allman Brothers. And Derek is also one of those guitar phenom kids who took over at a very young age in the Allman Brothers, playing Dwayne Allman, the original slide guitar player for the Allman Brothers. He would play his parts along with Dickie Betts and all those guys. And so he'd been playing with the Allman Brothers since he was like 15 years old. They hooked up and got married, and I'm assuming they hooked up. I didn't mean that in that fashion, but they have children, so I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah,
but they now have kind of a southern rock / progressive rock sort of, maybe even some would call it Americana. I don't know. A band called the Tedeschi Trucks Band. Friend of ours, Justin, is really, really into them. So yeah, I knew about Susan Tedeschi.
Well, and I thought it was funny that just last week, another song came on my Pandora. I was like, ooh, I really like this. So I jumped up again. And it was the same damn song.
Same song for the same person.
For the same person. I was like, I must really like that song.
Yep. So I'm going to play a little clip of Leandra's favorite part of It Hurts So Bad by Susan Tedeschi. And we'll be right back with my pick.
It hurt so bad. You're going to cut that out, I assume.
No.
I was a fool to ever leave you. You were a fool to let me go. Oh, it's so lonesome here without you. Oh, I miss you so. It hurt so bad. You are the best man I ever had. Why was I so blind to see that the biggest fool is me? I miss the arms that you.
And we're back. That was Susan Tedeschi with It Hurts So Bad. That was Leandra's pick. Very good pick. It's a great song. It's got a little bit of Janice sound to it, which is why I think you might like that one. Yep. And she really gets gravelly in there. Okay. I like that. I like her, and that is a good pick, babe. Good job. My pick this week, I had a real crisis to go with a couple of different sort of punky Riot Grrrl style bands because I've been listening to both of these two bands for quite a while now. It was either going to be between a band called Sheer Mag, which is a New York-based band, which I really, really like them. But I'm going to throw it to this week. I'm going to throw it to the other one, the band called Taco Cat. Taco Cat is a famous palindrome, just maybe a little less famous than Mom or Dad. But Taco Cat's the same spelled forward and backwards. They make T-shirts of it and stuff. But this band's been around a long time. I think they were a little bit ahead of the Taco Cat curve. They're a band out of Seattle. 3 women, 1 man. And I would call them sort of pop punk. But that usually turns me off. But for some reason, this band really does it for me. The name of the song that I'm going to pick in the album, it's on the album that I've been listening to most, is called I Hate the Weekend. But honestly, I could have picked almost any song off of this album because I like them all so much.
Hate the Weekend.
Yep, we're about to hear that, babe. But your version's pretty good. So all their songs are pretty short in that kind of punky fashion. No songs longer than 3.5 minutes long, but they do have different feels. They're not all this upbeat, fast-paced. There's some that are more slow and brooding sounding, but they keep it short and sweet, and they all have great hooks. So like once you hear one of these songs, it will be stuck in your brain. And this song is particularly about, they're from Seattle, and they, they're musicians, so they don't keep the same hours as other people. And this is about, whenever they only work on the weekends, but everybody else is working all week and get to cut loose on the weekends. This is about how lame people are that only get a 2-day pass to go out and have fun, and how they all just act like jackasses because they're not used to ever getting to do anything. So it's called I Hate the Weekend by Taco Cat.
At the end of every week, they put into our streets a marginalized and also bleak. Got a hall pass from your job just to act like a fucking slob. Save 16 bricks for the facade. I hate the weekend. I hate the weekend. I hate the weekend. I hate the weekend. They were made for the work instead. With a 2-day fun permit. Let loose like your life depends on it. At the end of every week, you're screaming in our streets. Work hard, play hard, business elite. I hate the weekend. I hate.
And that's it for the Meeple of Madness Music Minute. We had Susan Tedeschi, It Hurts So Bad, and Taco Cat with I Hate the Weekend. Go check these artists out. Give them some of your money and reward them for being so freaking awesome. Okay.
So, confession.
What's that?
Taco Cat.
Mhm.
Palindrome.
Mhm.
Lily, just this week, was talking about palindromes. She's like, Mom, those words that you can say backwards and forwards and it's the same thing. And she's like Taco Cat. And I was like, but Taco Cat, Taco has the letter O at the end. How does that work? I wasn't thinking, whoa.
Yeah.
So when she gets home from her friend's house, because when you said
Did
that.
you tell her it wasn't a palindrome?
Yes, I did. And so when you said that, I don't know if you saw me writing Taco Cat
Oh my
and then
God.
TACOCAT. I was like, oh, fuck, it does say Taco Cat
Yeah.
backwards. So I owe my daughter an apology
Yes,
when
you
she gets
do.
home from her friend's house, because I was thinking would be, you'd spell the per
Yeah, they
word.
they have to have a fulcrum letter.
Well, I just thought it was going to be per word. You know what I
No,
mean?
no.
Like that. That's what I was thinking.
No.
And then TAC. I was like, that doesn't say Taco Cat. This is
That says-
Cat Tac.
Okay, so the real problem lied in you didn't know what a palindrome really was. Okay, that's interesting.
Oh, gosh.
There's nothing like telling somebody they don't know what they're talking about when you don't know what you're talking
To my
about.
9-year-old, who apparently is smarter than I am when it comes to palindromes.
All right, so let's move on to everyone's actual favorite segment in the podcast, which I don't know if that's true, but I've
It's
had
not
some people say that that's
Is
their
it
favorite
true?
part. Yeah,
Really?
is IRL, the most boring segment we do. We'll tell you what's going on in our real world for some reason, because we didn't used to have anything else to talk about, and we didn't have hour and 45-minute long episodes.
It's true.
But now we do. But we're going to continue because it is somebody's favorite part of the episode. So now on to I.
I think that's the favorite part. People like us making complete asses out of ourselves.
You're my beat right
I'm
away.
sorry.
You killed the beat. All right. So what do you got for IRL, babe?
It's already been mentioned before, but I'll go ahead and say it again. 9 days until my best friend and I of 26 years will be celebrating Halloween in Salem, Massachusetts, which happens to be this year the 25th anniversary of Hocus Pocus, which is my favorite movie. Didn't even plan it like this, but it's just perfect. It ended up, I can't even explain to you. I'm going to be walking around in a Halloween painting for like 4 days. I mean,
the thing Salem is most famous for is the movie Hocus Pocus.
Well, of course it is.
Right. I mean, nothing else.
Nothing else. No.
Nothing else ever happened there.
No.
Of any note.
There's no witch trial or anything like that. But I know. It's ridiculous. But it's,
I mean, there's menthol cigarettes named after it.
You know.
I mean, it's got a lot going on for it.
yeah. Yeah, some people died, got hung. Yeah. Anyway, so Halloween is going to be spent for me and my best friend Tracy in Salem. It's going to be a madhouse. Like like over 100,000 people are expected to be roaming the streets. They close all the streets down.
You have a hotel right in the
We
center
have
of
a
downtown, right?
hotel in the middle of downtown. Like it was expensive as hell. But it beat trying to worry about getting an Uber in and out because you won't be able to drive. There won't be any way to actually get a car in and out of that. So
this was one of your bucket list
this
things.
is a
that you wanted
bucket
to
list.
do.
I've been wanting to do this for years and years. And I told my boss I wasn't going to go to Hong Kong this year for Halloween. And that was last year. I was like, we're going to do it. And so
You're
doing
usually
it.
gone. The last several Halloweens you've been, you would get back right on Halloween, but you'd be gone to China before then. So
Yep. So we're doing it. And it just so happens to be the 25th anniversary of Hocus Pocus. So it's going to be, there's going to be Sanderson sisters walking around everywhere. I can't wait to take pictures with Billy and the Sanderson sisters. And I'm so excited.
I don't know who those people are, but I'm excited for you too.
I can't wait. 9 days today. 9 days.
That's amazing. Maybe Bette Midler will make an appearance.
Oh, yeah, right. She doesn't even go shopping.
She doesn't need to. She has a mall in her house.
I know. She's so awesome.
Well, that's going to be super fun for you,
I
babe.
can't wait.
I get to do another solo Halloween with
You
Lily.
do.
Actually, it'll be fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
She's going to be Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yep. I'm gonna be Leonardo Ninja Turtle.
Nice.
Max is hawking up another loogie as he tends to do.
I hear that.
Buddy, you can be on the episode in other ways without just coughing every time. You all right, bub? Okay. So Max says, wrap this damn thing up.
What's your IRL?
My IRL, we talked about before that we were going to go to my high school reunion in Dallas, and we did that right after we recorded the last episode. It went off without a hitch. It was very fun. We got dressed up. We drove all around Dallas, did some cool, we saw some sights.
We got way drunk the night before your reunion.
Well, you did. I was fine. You really tied one on.
John was feeding me whiskey.
Yeah, you took shots, which you don't do, not multiples of
You
anyway.
had one tied on too, because you were walking around that damn mall the next morning
Oh, that's
just
right.
as hungover as I was.
That's true. I felt pretty bad, but I didn't throw up in the middle of the night like you did.
Multiple times.
I woke up in our tiny house, so let's talk about the tiny house.
The tiny house.
Okay, so the tiny house was sort of just a whim that we decided to get an Airbnb, and it was a tiny house. And it was, but I mean, okay, here's the first thing I'll say: the location could not have been any better.
God, it was
we were
awesome.
literally minutes away from everything we wanted to do.
Yes.
We were minutes away from the Deep Ellum section, which is the cool artsy music section of Dallas. It's where I got all my early tattoos done when I was in
Like within walking distance if it wasn't raining.
Yep. And so we could have walked all the place, but it was kind of rainy. And so we were able to drive everywhere within 5 minutes, we were really close. It was literally a 2-minute drive to the reunion spot where we were. So we were able to drive ourselves and have to, Leandra didn't drink at all because she was still hungover from the night before. There was a bar directly across from our tiny house that we ended up going to. That's where we tied it on with some friends came out the night before. It was supposed to be a Madonna cover band, but they canceled because of the crazy weather. It was raining like cats and dogs.
It's an outdoor bar.
Yeah, I mean, it's covered, but it's a porch kind of air thing. It's like the whole thing's on this big porch. So they had another band that was really good. I think, what was they called? I don't know.
I don't remember.
Whiskey Leg or something like
Something like that.
They were really good cover band. And it's like I told Lee, you can walk into any hole in a wall in Texas and you'll hear some of the best music you'll hear anywhere because the place is just riddled with musicians, and they're all really good. So,
well, they had my vote, whoever they are, as the last song they played was Careless Whisper.
That's right.
Which is you and I's song when we first met.
We cut a rug,
We
baby.
did. When we were
cut a
little.
rug.
When we were little, we used to have the Careless Whisper as wasn't it like a one track?
Yeah.
It was a one track tape.
It's called a single. We talked about this
Like a
last
single, that's right. And then my rewind button didn't work on my car, and so we had
to flip it over.
So we had to
the instrumental and the regular one. So we would,
and then we would use my pencil and turn it around, rewind it so we can, and we would listen to that song over and over and over again. And, yep. And even now, when it comes on the radio, we're ridiculous, and Lily's just completely embarrassed. Anyway, that was the last song that they played for the night. So Ben and I finished the evening completely freaking drunk and dancing our little hearts off. And a friend of ours' husband had just gotten there, like 5 minutes before, and Ben was
I did my Irish goodbye. I was like,
He calls it his Irish goodbye. When he's done, he's done. He's like, okay, I'm out. And then like that was it. I had to follow him. Like he was
See you guys.
like that was it.
my body just takes over at parties, and when I've hit
starts
my wall,
walking.
I'm just like, okay, we got to go now.
And the tiny house was literally in the parking lot on the other side of the road for the bar. So, we had a whole 1 minute to walk to the tiny house.
So the tiny house itself, it was, okay, I won't call it false advertising. Well, the damn skull that wasn't in the yard, that pissed me off because when we Google
the
Street
skull
Viewed it,
picture was the tiny house in front of the tiny house
but
we were
still,
renting.
the skull wasn't there. So the skull had been, the art piece of the giant wrought iron skull was gone, which bummed me out. The tiny house was very tiny. It was like a cabin in the woods. I'll say that. It was like sleeping in a cabin in the woods. It wasn't
Ben
bad.
had to fix the air conditioner
The air
because it was
conditioner
knocking.
was noisy, was bugging Leander, but I fixed it.
The people next door in the tiny house in front of it left their back porch light on the whole entire time, never turned it off, which was shining right into our tiny house all night long. So it was like having a light shining in your room for the whole night. So trying to sleep without curtains because there's no curtains.
Didn't bother me at all, but
so those are the two things that I did not like about it.
But I think your night was more interrupted by you going in the bathroom and throwing up.
Oh, and the night that I was throwing up, that morning, we lost electricity for like 6 hours.
No, that's nothing they could do about that.
No, that wasn't
was the
her
storm.
fault.
But she did get it fixed. So all in all, it was fine. It was just like, it wasn't the lap of luxury tiny house, but I had stayed in
the
way
coffee
worse.
was horrible.
Well, yeah, but we had good coffee. But they did have amenities. I mean, it's kind of neat because there was like, there was
Netflix.
coffee, a maker. They had Netflix, built in the TV and stuff like that. I mean, it was fine. It was totally fine.
I'd go there again. I just would ask the people next door to turn off their damn light. You told me I couldn't ask them at midnight.
It was in midnight, and I was not going to knock on a stranger's door at midnight. That's asking to
Please
get
turn
murdered.
off your back porch light.
That's asking to get murdered. So, all in all, the tiny house was interesting.
It was.
And it, like I said, the location couldn't have been better.
That was the best part. It
So-
totally overrode all the bitching. The location was wonderful.
So that was pretty much that trip. Now, while we were there, we stopped on the way in at Plano, which is right before you get into Dallas, from where we're coming from anyway. And I had asked a couple people, Jerry Hawthorne, because he lives in Irving, I think, out around in the Dallas Metroplex area, designer of Mice and Mystics and Stuffed Fables. I said, hey, Jerry, we're coming down. I wasn't into games when I lived there. What's something gamey that we could talk about on the podcast that we should definitely check out, a store or, is there a game night or something in these particular dates? And he said, well, if you've never been there, you should go to check out Madness Games and Comics. He's like, it's a giant game store. He's like, it's one of the more impressive game stores I've ever been in. So it was right on the way in. So we stopped on our way there.
It is huge.
That's what I'll say. It is giant. It is almost the size of like a Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
But it's full of games. Full. Back half has like some clothes and stuff, which was interesting.
Some
And they have
gaming related, some just not, just regular clothes, like a boutique.
And they have a big gaming area. About 1/3 of the whole space is just open tables to play, which is good. I'll say that our experience there, though, was less than perfect because first we get there, start looking around for stuff. They got so much stuff, it's overwhelming. Now, if you want to find some rare and out-of-print games, that's where to go. And they've got them at decent prices. They're not gouging you. They're not paying eBay. They're not charging eBay prices. I saw a Steam Barons expansion for Steam, the Martin Wallace game that we have. It was $50. The cheapest one you can buy on eBay is $130. Like, because it's been out of print for a long time. They don't care if they have it on the shelf. They're going to. That was my tweeter box. Turn my phone back on because our child is at her friend's in case you want to call, and now Twitter's going off. Anyway, so back to my story. They have all these out of print games and stuff. So if you want to dig through the shelves and find something rare and buy it because you want it, or say you wanted to flip some games, hey, it's a great place to go. Problem I had was like, okay, the service, they asked us as soon as we walk in, anything we can help you with. No, we're just looking around. Then 5 minutes later, the same person came around, says, is there anything I can help you with? No, I'm just looking around. Then somebody else comes and asks us. And we're like, no, we're fine. So we got the feeling after being asked about 5 times within 20 minutes if we needed any help that it had went beyond them wanting to give good service, and we felt like we were being followed around,
Like we're being watched.
like we were trying to steal something. Now, I mean, I don't know how big I know this is a problem in a lot of retail stores, But I don't know how big a problem that is in a board game store. What am I going to put a 20-pound box of fucking Twilight Imperium down my pants and walk out? Like, so I don't think it was that. I think it was them trying to be over the top good customer service, but it was fucking annoying. We ended up leaving because I'm like, we were
dodging people as they were coming down the aisles because we knew they were just going to keep on asking us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a nerd. I'm socially inept. I don't want to talk to the same person and answer the same question 5 times in 20 minutes. Like, that seemed way over the top to me. So there's a line between good customer service and just annoying people who might buy something for you. So that was annoying. The other thing was I did buy a game there. We bought Scarabya there because I didn't want to walk out empty-handed. Now, I had went in going, even if they're higher than Amazon, there's 2 games that if they have them, I'm going to pick up. One was Terra Mystica because I'd been wanting to get a copy of Terra Mystica. They didn't have it. I couldn't find it because their organization system's supposedly alphabetic, but it was definitely not completely that way. There were also some sections of different kinds of games. So I asked one of the guys who had asked me twice about, I said, "Do you guys got a copy of Terra Mystica?" "No, you really can't get," like, I didn't know anything about it. "You really can't get Terra Mystica anymore. It's been out of print for almost a year now and everything." I'm like, dude, I can buy it on Amazon right now.
This second,
literally, I bought
front
it.
Of you.
I bought it on Amazon in their store. So, I mean, it's one thing to say, I can't get it anymore or whatever. Maybe since he can't sell it to me, maybe you could, if you knew, you would say, "Oh, but you can get it at a couple of online places." If, since I don't have it, it's not like I'm costing him any money. But it was like, I didn't know what I was talking about and that he knew what he was talking about. That was that kind of error. And I was like, okay, whatever.
So that combined with just being accosted every 5 minutes.
And there was one other game that was newer. I can't remember what it was, but it had some release in stores, but it was a Kickstarter that had just come out. And I was going to pick that up, and they didn't have any of that either. So I'm like, okay, this place has so many games, but they don't have in stock some of the more very popular games, So I thought that was kind of weird. That in combination with them just bugging us every 5 minutes, you were just like, I'm ready to go, So, and I didn't blame you. So we grabbed Scarabya because they had a decent price. I think it was like $25 on it, and bought that and got out of there. And that made me say that, I mean, maybe if I was a local there and they saw me every day, they wouldn't bug me like that, but also it just gave me a bad vibe. So I don't know.
They treated us like we were going to steal something.
Yeah, that's literally what it seemed like. And so there's that. I mean, that's Madness Games and Comics. Definitely a big place with a lot of selection, but may not have the current hotness and may treat you like a thief. So.
Yeah. So I'm going to add to IRL just because my nerves are just going through the roof right now. We literally just let our daughter, for the very first time, walk down the road to someone's house and play. Like, we
don't know them very well. They're
we
new,
don't.
They're
We
a new
met
kid
them
in
once.
town. And we went over yesterday after the kids came over and asked if
Lily
they could
says,
play.
"Hey, this new girl's riding my bus and she lives on the street." She's very excited because, she doesn't have anybody on the street. So we're happy for her. Yesterday, Jordan shows up. She's like, "Hi, I'm Jordan." And I was like, "Okay." She's like, "I live right down the road." And, "Oh, okay." She invites Lily to this bonfire they had last night, which we already had plans. My sister was coming over. And I was like, "Okay, well, probably not tonight. But, we would need to meet your parents before any of this kind of thing happens anyway." So, we were getting ready to leave anyway, so we went and stopped and met the dad, and mom was working, and dad seems very nice, and literally, like, I'm pretty sure I could go outside and yell and let it hear me. I just can't see them.
Which is she does this type of stuff all the time, but with family or very close friends.
That we know. We don't know.
She's never, like, we've always been the family would be like, the parents who are a little more loosey-goosey with their kids, they come to our house.
They come to our house.
And we're fine with that, and, obviously we don't worry about it, and we don't think those parents worry as much as we do because they let it happen. Well, this is our first time of trying to let go a little bit and let her go and do her own thing, so she walked there on her own. It doesn't seem like a big deal for a 9-year-old, but for us it's
a huge thing. And so I'm running through my neighbor's yard watching her walk through the field to get to this. So, like, they're between these two neighbors that I can see, but behind.
She's like 150 yards away from the house.
And I know she could hear me if I went outside and yelled, and I watched her, wave at her friend, and her friend came up. I watched the tops of her heads as they disappeared into the hill distance, so now I can't see her. And I was like, "Okay, you have to ask if you can stay. You have to call me if you're staying." She called. She's like, "I'm good." And what does that mean? You're good. What does that mean? She's like, "I asked if I could stay, and I said I could stay." Okay.
Okay. It's fine, Mama.
Okay.
So
Our baby
anyway.
is over there too. We only, what are we thinking? 10 minutes. We spent 10 minutes with this guy. We don't know.
I know, but it's
I mean, he's a volunteer fireman, and he seemed really nice. And
they're
they just
new
moved
to
in, and
town.
they're cleaning up their house, and they're very new to town. And
She's staying outside. She knows that we saw the kids. They seem very happy, and they have
new
animals, new puppies to
and-
play with. They're going to stay outside, play with puppies. Everything will be fine. babe.
Okay.
And we'll get to know these people more as it goes, and it will be fine. You just have to, sometimes you have to trust a child's ability to take care of themselves a little bit, and, just let her be a kid.
It's
It makes me
hard.
nervous too,
Makes
but
me so nervous.
we gotta let her fly a little bit.
I know, but she's flying where I can't see her.
She's also flying very close to
I
home.
know. She's right there.
Yeah.
I know. Okay.
So that's IRL. Leander's about to have a panic
I
attack.
am. I
It's
want to go check on her so bad or call her.
So we're going to go let her be helicopter mother.
Oh, God.
And we are going to sign off for this episode. So that's going to conclude episode 26 of the Not Safe for Worker Placement podcast. We'll be back within a week's time for our big
Man,
Halloween
that's awfully
episode.
adventurous.
Yeah, I'm going to have to edit this tonight, get it out, and then immediately start working on the next episode. But that's okay, because we want to get our Halloween episode out at Halloween, and we totally procrastinated on this episode. So we'll be back in episode 27 to talk about some such other things having to do with Halloween. And look who's wanting to console you, Lise. So look who just climbed up on the table. They know that you're sad and you're worried.
I'm
And
stressed.
he's wanting to console you. Look at he's got his little arms out. He wants to give you a hug.
Yeah, I don't want his kind of
Maurice.
hugs.
Maurice wants to give you a hug. Look at
Yeah.
how can you turn him down? Give him a little, at least give him a dap or something.
Not giving him a kiss.
Give him something. Oh my goodness!
I squeezed the shit out of him.
Oh, that's one to grow on. All right, that'll do it. We'll talk to you all next episode.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to episode 27 of the Not Safe for Worker Placement podcast. Again, you can find more of our stuff at nsfwppodcast.com or Facebook, NSFWP Podcast, or on Twitter at NSFWP Podcast. I am at Meeple of Madness on Twitter, and we'll be back shortly with our big Halloween episode. Hope to see you there, or see you scared. Bye. Testes, 1 2, testes 1 2.
Testes 1 2. I don't have any testes. 1 nor 2.
No testes for you?
No testes for me. No testes. Wait, you have testes.
No testes for you. All of the testes have been turned to glue.
Ew.
Ew, that rhymed. Nice. That's what they do to horses. Testes.
Aww.
No, I think it's just their feet. But anyway,
Really?
I
Just
really
her
don't know.
feet?
Yeah. It's called the take them to the knacker. They melt them
Really
down.
though, it's just their feet?
Yeah, I think it's like same thing they do with.
Like their hooves?
Yeah, it's the same thing they do with cows to make gelatin or whatever.
Oh my god, let's stop talking about this. I'll become a vegetarian again.